Roland, you're ducking down an alleyway. You think you must have lost them. There were these two goons dressed in civilian clothes, and they'd been following you. You're pretty sure when you left the bar, they left at the same time. And even though you took like a lot of turns you didn't usually take on your way home, every time you like look back, they were still there, kind of behind you. But you took a few unusual turns, and now you think you've lost them. You've like pressed your back against the sort of wet stone of the building behind you. It's like rain just like plummets down all around you. Insane rain you only really get on this moon. Just this insane acid rain everywhere you look. There's this like mean looking cat that like comes out from behind a dumpster and hisses at you loudly. And you like shoo it away as you like light a smoke and let out a breath of relief. A minute goes by and then two, and you think that they're gone.
Yeah, Roland's eyes are darting back and forth, an eerie kind of silvery glint, apparent in the dim lighting. His void-born eyes, allowing him to see even in this downpour. And I think what happened is one of the unusual turns. There's like this glint of yellow that kind of has come across his body that's now fading as he's like void slipped away. Like he turned one corner and then void slipped in a different direction to ensure that these people could not follow him any further. And he's kind of like tries to puff at this smoke, from making sure kind of to guard it from the rain and the wind. Just kind of making sure one last time for sure that even this cat might be eyes for people that are looking for him. So he wants to make sure that he's as safe as he can be.
You're taking another puff in the smoke, and this like blue smoke comes out that turns to yellow as it floats away. You can hear this like this like homeless man who has been like alerted by the smell of the smoke. He's like behind the dumpster, and he like stands up. He's like shouting at you nonsensically.
Yeah, we're all just gonna like, oh my god, like just one thing after another, and he's just gonna like with his free hand, still keeping the smoke up in his left hand, just pull out the pulsar from his belt and point it at him. Just like, get the fuck away! I don't want to deal with this right now.
Guys, yeah. He like stands up and turns around and like pulls the blanket over his shoulders. He starts to walk down the alleyway, and there's like a bleep 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 on your whisper link. It's a message from Sus, who used to be a fixer of yours, letting you know that there's a job.
Yeah, I imagine he like jumps at the sound of the whisper link, and he has to like double check to make sure that it's not who he thinks is trying to get in touch with him. The same person who's just like, debt collectors, where it's just literally like 5 times a day, all the time, just constantly calling. But he has to like make sure that it's not that, and then seeing that it's not, he kind of breathes another sigh of relief before clicking on the whisper link. Hey, what is it?
Big job, real big. Terminus Dusk. That's where you got to get to. There's a bar there. Golden Eel. Barman will know.
All right. If it's big, then it's big. Can't turn that down. He kind of like mutters, like the call has already ended. He's just like muttering it into the ether as if somebody would even care. And just kind of like shrugs, finishes the smoke, and just like tosses it into the street, and then turns the head in the direction he needs to go.
And a couple minutes later, the camera will like pan back to that smoke, and you'll see like these two guys dressed in fine suits. One of them like reaches down to the ground and like picks up the still barely lit smoke and like looks at it, like flicks it away, and walks in a direction. Jackie, you're moving through the bowels of the Armory, which is the nightclub and the bar that Big Jack owns. These leering faces everywhere, and they all turn to stern nods as like the creeps and freaks who dwell here sit up straight as you walk by, or like give you like a nod or a salute. You push your way through like the fetish rooms and the fighting pens, through the acrid smell of the opioid Astra harems, until you see this like heavy metal door that leads to Big Jack's office. On and Toi are the two mute bodyguards, although why this man needs bodyguards is beyond your understanding. And they let you in. And inside, Big Jack is standing. He's like looking out the window. This insane acid rain is like falling in great sheets onto the neon city below. This cloud of blue smoke is exhaled, and he turns around. He's chewing a cigar, like he literally always is. There's not a moment in your life you remember when he wasn't. And you can see these like rippling muscles of his body, but it's not quite the right shape. There's something about Big Jack that doesn't make sense. Like the ribs are too smooth, like they've been like fused together. The shoulders are too wide, the arms are too thick, and his face is flat. It looks like it's carved from a rock. He's got these two beady eyes, one of which is milky. He looks at you. Darling, job coming up. Big money, bad people. Alzarine, Roldo, Septs all over this one. Be careful. I'll arrange a pickup.
Noose?
Something big. Don't know what yet.
Destroy or acquire?
First one, then the other.
You got it, Pop.
Be careful, darling. And he'll turn back around to look out the window.
I always am.
Torrent, you've made your way silently into the mansion in the upper levels of the city. Here above the clouds, there's no smog, there's no acid rain. There's actually moonlight and quiet and clean air. You got in here and you disabled the security system with relative ease. You dealt with the 3 Baromech hounds. You hacked through the 19-digit alphanumeric code. And now there's just this laser defense grid that stands between you and the pistol. Some ancient thing, apparently it's priceless, but the Johnson who hired you put a price on it, that's for sure. 90,000 glint, to be exact.
So Torrent kind of stands at the edge of where this laser grid is, kind of flipping this dagger that he has in his hand just over and over again as he's kind of studying and contemplating what he might need to do to get past this. His dagger is a piece of work in and of itself, and you can see that the moonlight that shines in from the windows just kind of glints barely just off of the edge of a metallic mask that he wears on his face because he hasn't bothered to turn the lights on in this place.
Yeah, it's this laser grid, and you've probably done something like this before. You're used to this kind of work, notably up in this part of the city, where most of the street-level thugs never get to see. And to see the sky and to see the stars is something that you're used to, while many others who live in the city you're from is something they never see. The grid itself, you think, and you like look, and your expert brain is able to like follow the patterns of the moving lasers. It takes you maybe a minute or two before you can like see a path. You think pretty confidently.
And he stays perfectly still, other than just this dagger twirling, until he knows that the moment's come, and then he leaps forward like a cat, just immediately springing into action, and is doing, all kinds of ridiculous slides across the floor, up and off the wall, all that kind of good shit.
You like land softly, barely making a sound in front of this pistol. It's definitely ancient. It's like heavy and very metal. There's like a wooden handle on it. It's ancient by the looks of things. Probably shoots actual bullets. But it's very expensive and very valuable, and you can see it now. And you're trying to like piece together, is there like a weight system? Like if you remove it, what's going to happen? And you're like piecing this all together, and you like go to reach for it, having figured it out. And just as you're about to, there's this billy-lip, 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 as your whisper link calls.
Kind of freezes his extended hand, like just inches away from this thing, and becomes motionless once again, as the Whisperlink luckily is kind of contained inside of this like all head mask that he wears, and he says, "This is not the best time."
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. There's a big job along the way. Terminus Dusk. Golden Eel. Make your way there. Barman will know.
Right. I suppose we'll see what that's about. And he kind of waits for the silence.
Yep.
And then returns to what he was doing.
Madak, you've got the gold. It's been a hell of a job. The mag rail train didn't stop where you expected it to, and there were a lot more guards on board than you were hoping there would be. And then there's just 3 of you left, and you came here with 7. You're standing now on the top of the speeding train, and there's this like, as like things pass you. The 3 of you standing there. You've got a gun trained on each of the other 2 men. One of them is holding the gold, and the other one is holding this astro blade in his hand, and he says, "Come on, Madak, don't do this. We've been through so much together. This is going to be our last job."
What do I always tell you, boy? Good things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. And because you're neither one of them, I think this gun's going to decide what happens to you right now. And I raise the weapon and point it at him. I'll give you one last chance. You can decide either to walk away, wipe your hands clean of this, and get away scot-free. And it won't even affect your rep. I won't tell anybody what happens. It's your choice.
You can see he's conflicted. He's got like the sword in his hand, and he's trying to think, will he be quicker? Will he be able to get to you before you shoot him? The other guy, he's just holding the gold. He's like new at his first job. And he's obviously shaken. He's seen a lot of the people who came here die, and he's just holding onto the gold with this like death grip. And he like looks between you and the other guy, and he says, just let him go. It's not worth it.
Medic kind of irritatingly flicks away the cigarette that he's been trying to keep lit on top of this train, you know, but the wind just keeps blowing it out, and he kind of just gives like a low snarl and stares at the kid basically to him, and kind of almost like looks through him with his, you know, his pupilless, his eyes, and he holsters the gun, and he takes a step forward, and he says, "This is the last time that I'll let you walk away. You know, it's not personal. Don't take it as that. Just take it as another life lesson. And if you actually turn and walk away, you'll live to learn the lesson, kid. Just go."
He nods and he puts the gold onto the back of the speeding train, and he like starts to move away. The other guy thinks this is an opportunity. He like starts to move forward with the sword.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Medical reach down. He has like a snub, kind of like a snub-nosed scatter gun. And he actually just does, you know, what appears to be almost like a kneel or a drop and draw at the same time. And what he'll do is instead of actually shooting the young guy, maybe what I'll do is I'll just have him actually shoot the bag of loot, blow it out of his hand.
Yep. There's this, and the guy is like thrown off balance, and he begins to like slip. He like tries to hold on to the side of the train. Now he's like holding on to the side of it as it's just things are like speeding past at an insane rate. And just then the evac arrives, hovers above you, and you can see like what's happened. The rope lowers down. You're able to grab it and get the gold, and leave those 2 kids to learn their lesson.
Okay. All right. I'll grab onto it and give them kind of like the wink and a nod as I get carried away.
Obsidian, you've made your way to the top of the building. It's no mean feat. There's a couple of super elevators, and then eventually there's like a pretty significant stairwell you have to climb. But out on the roof, you take out the device and you lay it on the ground. There's this rain all around. You put the device on the ground and you speak the command word, insert this like complex code. And with a blur, this shaky image appears. an ancient man, maybe the oldest man in all the orbits. He's immobile on this throne. And you can see all these like tubes that are pumping blue Astra into him. This is Kirazan the Deathless. He's the head of Sept. And he intones, "Obsidian, the Lorium vial. It must make it back to us. All other concerns are secondary. It makes it back to us at any cost."
Yes, sir. Your will be done.
See it done. The thing vanishes. Moments later, the device that you had begins to like melt in the acid rain, and that's probably for the best. You step away and make your way back inside. You've all made your way to the Golden Eel. It's a dive bar on Terminus Dusk. Inside, you arrive one at a time, and you're waiting. There's a bunch of people sitting around, people of your persuasion, and you can tell that by the fact that everyone is sitting separately, no one's sitting in groups. And there's a lot of people who like are obviously having their hands on holsters or weapons. There's this disgusting, awful tension in the air as everyone kind of is like looking at everyone the whole way through. The barman, of course, is standing behind the bar, and he's like cleaning this glass. And you've seen him, if you've been here, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, clean that same glass over and over again. There's nothing being cleaned there. It's just maybe a nervous habit. He looks around. And you're all in the room in this bar. And maybe some of you know each other. Maybe you can recognize each other. And the barman stands ready to pour drinks and inform you.
So Torrent kind of stares somewhat disbelieving at a few of the individuals that are standing in the room. Most of all towards where Obsidian is standing. He kind of shakes his head and walks over to where this bartender is cleaning the glass. And he says, "Give me something stiff, if you would, please."
Yep. He like reaches behind the bar and pulls this clear liquid bottle, and like by the look of you realizes that you can afford it, so he like pulls out the cork and like pours what is a pretty solid grain alcohol.
And I believe I'm supposed to ask you about Golden Eel.
Yep. He like points to a door in the back, like a bead curtain. That way, then left.
I think I can manage. Cheers. And he takes the glass and heads that direction.
I think Roland will have taken note of who has just walked up towards this bar, having seen Torrent, and kind of a weird mixture of like half a frown and half a smile will like come across his face at the same time. Like it doesn't make sense how it could happen, but it does. But he'll like, kind of like follow up, not so that he approaches behind Torrent as he's walking away, but after he's already kind of made his way back. And he's gonna kind of like put his arms up on the bar and then just like put his hands up like, all right, we both know I'm not buying any drinks, but I'm here to talk to you.
Yep. What's the word?
Some about Golden Eel bullshit. I don't know.
Good enthusiasm, kid. Behind the bead door, turn left.
Thanks, kid. I'll kind of like say back and walk away.
So behind the bead doors, you like turn in there, Torrent. You can like follow down this corridor and pass an opium harem until you like come and turn left. And you can see that there's like this very short stairway, and in front of this door, it's like a one door wide corridor. There are two men standing in a space that really doesn't have space for two men. One of them, sort of wiry, and he's fade blind. His eyes are like totally milky. They're actually gone, as opposed to being milky. He has no eyes, but he has this sort of a visor. You can tell that it's fade blindness. He's got this like staff loosely held in one hand, and he's like turning over his shoulder to like talk to the man behind him. The man behind him stands 8 feet tall. He's in dragoon armor, this insane, powered, almost mech armor. And his head looks very small in the enormous suit of armor. And he's standing there with like his arms folded, sort of casually, and he rumbles something down to the man. And then, like as you like turn the corner, they both just like look in your direction.
And as he's been turning the corner, there's actually like a small, little tiny blue Astra sphere, almost like a marble sized, that he's dropped into this glass, and it's absorbing the liquid inside the glass. And as it's doing so, unseen to anybody, it's actually dispensing it through a drinking system inside of his helmet through Astra usage. He sees these two snap to attention, and he casually kind of puts his hands out and says, "I was told you were expecting me."
The little man steps forward, like thunks the staff, and then like limps behind it. Yes. This one? And the big man says, "Torrent." I see. No weapons on you, Torrent, no?
Well, no, it wouldn't be much of a party if I came without weapons, would it?
Very good. You'll hand those over immediately, thank you.
Oh, well, if you insist. I didn't
I'm
realize
afraid I
we were
do.
on intimate terms. And he kind of reaches and starts pulling some of the weapons. He turns over his dagger, Shimmer, as well as a light pistol.
The little man says, "And that's all of them, is it? It's not going to be awkward when I scan you."
No, that's it. I swear. I'm a man of my word.
We'll see. He like mutters something and like seems to pull this like yellow strand from out of nowhere across until it makes a line, and he like sends it forward, and it like scans through you and doesn't detect any other weapons. And he nods. Very good. In you go.
Very well. Thank you very much. Do I tip you, or should I just walk on in?
Very,
And he just walks past him.
very droll. So this is basically going to be the same experience for all of you. You're going to have to talk to the barman, say the word golden eel, and then you're going to have to get past these two. Unless anyone is planning on trying to smuggle a weapon in here, there will be no incidents. If you do want to try and smuggle something in, then let me know.
No, there's no smuggling, but when Jackie gets up there, she goes, "Same song and dance as last time, boys."
The very same.
1, 2.
He'll do the scan nonetheless. He knows to be careful, and that's why he gets paid the big bucks and why he guards the man who's inside this room. But seeing that all of you have like presented the weapons as expected, you can make your way into this room. It's this library, weirdly in the back of this bar. Library of Lorium vials, just these vials floating in these various like anti-grav fields. All these different little vials that if you open them, you would understand the thing inside. And there's a man sitting behind a desk. He's got this like black sort of bodysuit on with like a robe over the top of it. But you can see like emblazoned is this golden eel wrapped around a spear across his chest, that being the symbol of Sept. And he'll like gesture for all of you to sit. There are 5 chairs spaced evenly in front of him.
I'll make sure that I have a seat next to, actually, I'll sit next to Jackie.
We have work for you. It won't be easy, but the reward is great. I assume you're all interested. It is at this point that I will require you all to swear an oath of silence and secrecy about what I am going to tell you.
Get on with it.
Good. What I'm about to tell you is known to very few high-ranking individuals in some of the septs. There is an uncharted moon in the outer orbits beyond even Kar, known as Abolsk. It was the site of a great battle in which the might of Sept Trithan was broken. This was over 150 years ago. It had remained hidden for a great many years, lost to us due to interference from the Bleeding Eye. This week, whatever rift had kept it away from us has left, and the moon is accessible once again. Your job is simple. Get to the moon Abolsk. There you will find the ruin of what was once Sept Trithan's flagship, the Skyphios. Aboard that ship, you will find two things. He pulls up this little device and presses a button, and these holograms shoot up of these two things. One of them is a briefcase marked with a trident, and the other is a red, glowing lorium vial of unusual design and size. He says, the vial must be acquired at all costs. Under no circumstances are you to open the vial or to try and understand its contents. This is for your own protection. I tell you this once. It should be in the science bay of the ship, or remains of it. Secondary, but also extremely important, is the acquisition of this briefcase. It will be gene-locked and beyond your ability to open. Tampering with the lock mechanism will cause the contents to be ruined and may cause a significant explosion.
And there was a talk of payment.
Of course, a great reward for the things that we offer, or that we ask you to bring to us. We can offer you the sum of 1 million glint each.
Well, he kind of leans back and puts his hands behind his head and kicks his feet up on the table. You have my attention.
I believe many of you are in indentured servitude to one or other sept. Some of you to this very sept. 1 million glint tends to be enough to purchase your way out of any long-term contract. Beyond that, it is enough to live comfortably for quite some time in the backwaters of the orbits.
You mentioned the case. Any idea where we might find the case on the wreckage in the ruins?
That remains unclear. The lorium vial we do believe to be in the science bay. The case itself could be anywhere. The bridge, captain's quarters. It contains documents of significant import. Wherever you think they might hide documents or keep them, that's where I would look.
And this ship is 150 years old?
Older still, built during the old times when Sept Trithan was capable of building the great warships. The Skyphios is perhaps the finest flagship ever built. Was.
I don't suppose you have any schematics on it?
If we had schematics, we would make them ourselves. That technology has long been lost. Safe to say that it dwarfs any ship that exists now.
So why not just send anybody else in there to retrieve this stuff? Why us?
You are effective. Beyond that, you are expendable. Beyond that, I don't believe that you are the only people and that we are the only sept sending people to try and acquire these things. We have searched carefully for those who are known to be exceptional in their field.
So in other words, we won't be the only crew stuck on that relic.
It's possible.
Well, either I make a lot of money or I die. Either way, I get out of this bullshit, so I'm in.
Matic kind of looks down the line of haphazard chairs as everyone's sitting there and kind of looks, down the line, kind of meeting everyone eye to eye. And he kind of smiles and he says, "You know, this may be a one-way trip, right?"
Where's the adrenaline rush if it wasn't? I'm in.
Obsidian glances over at Torrent and kind of gives him kind of a little wink, and then she turns back to the guy and says, "I'm in."
Oh, this is the kind of thing that I live for, a big payday and the chance of not ever seeing it. It sounds like fun to me.
Medic kind of chuckles. And then he kind of looks up in the air, kind of does like looks like he's doing some computations in his head. And he goes, "So say maybe one or two of us, we don't make it back. What happens to that cut of the money?"
The million that we're offering each of you, that is the extent of the offer. We're offering you $1 million. It's a lot of glint. We don't make it back, and there's no million for you.
No, I mean, what if some of us make it back? What happens to the millions of the ones that don't make it back?
He's saying no one gets it. They get to keep it. Are you fucking listening?
That's a good way to guarantee that I don't get a dagger in the back.
You can see the man, he does the same thing you did, Matic, where he looks up for a second, he seems to be computing. Do you believe that there's an extra incentive if the pot is simply 5 million? Split evenly between who comes back.
I'm just saying.
I don't know. If we start having reasons to make sure that less people come back, more possibilities that precious items that we might be carrying get disturbed in the process. I don't think it's a good idea.
Oh,
Plus, I'm rather fond of my life.
You can be reasonable, Roland. That's good to hear.
When it suits him. When it suits him.
The man nods and looks down a little device that beeps, and he types something into it quickly, and then looks back up. We have a deal?
I'm in.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Deal.
Excellent. Well, next time I see you, you'll have those two things that we require from you, and you'll all be rich. Best of luck. As you're ushered out of the room, Matic, you're the last to leave, and the man gives you this look where he raises an eyebrow and does a nod before you leave.
I kind of give him a wink back, and I raise my voice and overemphasize. Been a pleasure doing business with you. We'll see you soon, and you can bet that we'll have everything intact. Then he kind of backs out and leaves.
So you guys can make it back down into the bar where you can maybe sit together and discuss what the plan is. I would imagine that maybe each of you has access to a ship or maybe owns a ship because you're in the Harbinger world. Pretty big deals at level 5 and you're well-established criminals. Certainly, I think Jackie would own a ship. Her dad would have bought her a really fancy, an SUV or something. Very safe at some stage, but I think that it's reasonable to think that Torrent would have a ship, and Obsidian for sure. Matic and Roland, that's really up to you guys. I think Roland maybe is too poor.
He's already pawned it off many years ago.
So you make your way back down into the bar, and the grumpy old barman will provide each of you with a complimentary drink. It's like a Miller Lite, basically. It's almost tasteless, sort of watery beer that's provided for each of you.
Come on.
He'll go back behind the bar and like clean the glass as he like watches.
I think we deserve something better than this to celebrate our new deal, right?
He'll get the good stuff when you come back with the stuff, he says quietly, and then goes back to cleaning that glass.
Medak, if you keep shouting about a new deal, you're going to get cut out of it pretty quick.
Oh my. I hope we still don't have any, there's still no bad blood between us.
Mm-hmm.
How's Dad, by the way?
Big Jack is fine.
Did he ask about me?
Yeah, you know, and then we braided each other's hair.
You still got it. That's great. Glad to hear that. Is everyone kind of still gathered about, or so we can maybe have a chat?
Yeah, I think Torrent's probably sitting in a booth somewhere, preferably with his back against a wall so he can keep an eye on the room. And he's taken the proffered drink, kind of like very carefully has slid it across the table away from him as far as he can.
I think Roland has sat down in the other booth across from you on the table and has like just slid it right over into his other hand. And he's just like gladly got one of them already completely dumped back.
Hey Lloyd, was that loot that I got a hold of? I mean, is that legitimate spending money, or is that something specific to the situation?
Yeah, so I imagine that like you would have like basically done well out of that job.
Bond it or whatever.
Yeah, you would have gotten some gold, and you would have acquired that for somebody and gotten paid for the job. I think, you know, so pretty. I think like you're not poor at the moment, but you're not a million glint.
No, that's fine.
You know.
Okay, that's fine. What I'll
you got
do
some
is
walking around money.
okay, not for long. Okay, what I'll do is he'll at the bar he'll kind of hesitantly fork over what may appear to be the last of his petty cash, so to speak, you know, to buy a round of drinks for everyone. And then he'll kind of have all these drinks kind of cradled in his arm as he walks over and just kind of starts putting drinks in front of everybody without even knowing what they like or what they don't like. Here you go.
Well, you are a kind man. Thank you very much. This will do much better.
I'll pull up a chair backwards, of course, because that's the kind of guy he is, you know. And he'll sit down with the plop and just kind of eye everyone again and go, so now that we're all friends once again, what's the plan?
And Roland will like slide the drink now to his like pile of 3 drinks that he has, the 2 complimentary ones, and now this 3rd purchased one, and just kind of like hoard them in front of him, almost like a dragon over treasure, and then just kind of look over to Torrent and then over to this other figure. Well, I suppose we should find a ship. I'm sure somebody here has one, and then we start heading in this direction, unless somebody has any better ideas. Like just take 1 drink in each hand and just begin putting them all back.
Well, I'm pulling up the navigational charts as we speak. I'd rather not take my ship if it could be avoided.
Afraid the paint will get a scratch?
Perhaps. Maybe there's just certain standards that I have about what filth I'll allow aboard.
Obsidian, how's that drink? Is that to your liking?
What I don't understand, Matic, is how the hell they thought you could do anything for us. You screw everybody over.
Not if you keep your legs together.
Well, that's words of the wise from you, lady.
Matic
Probably
snatches
part of the plan, to be honest. They hire up 5 people, offer them all a bunch of money. Only one comes back. They only have to pay one. Seems like an easy strategy on their part.
It's just part of general protocol. You know, nothing personal at all.
They definitely do. Seems to have picked an assortment of individuals who have interesting connections, to say the least.
The moon's not that big. Everybody knows everybody. Come on, Torrent. Don't feel like you're that special.
Well, somebody's heard of me at least.
Yeah, you're the only one who's too chicken to show their face.
Ooh, that's very good. I don't have a daddy to protect me, so this will have to do.
Yeah, easy for people to talk shit when they got big old Jack bankrolling their every move, punching at anybody who steps towards them. You're so tough, so brave.
Step towards
Little
me
Jack.
right now, Mancer.
Hey, kids, easy, easy. We got plenty of time for this later on. Let's focus on the plan at hand, right? Right? He kind of looks around, you know. Come on, we're all like family. Yeah, come on, focus.
With that, Obsidian kind of rolls her eyes as hard as what possibly could, and she turns and looks. Yeah, your daddy's got money. You probably have a nice ship. Why don't we take yours?
If everyone else is so stingy, fine, we'll take mine. I don't mind actually getting my hands dirty.
Anything else, from what I've heard?
Careful. You'll have to sleep in the brig.
Oh. I didn't know there were other options. It's good to know. So, I've got the navigational charts all arranged. You're ready to leave.
So looking at the charts, you can see that like there's a point where the bleeding eye, which is like this basically like a black hole, but it's this Astra anomaly on like the far side of Bastion, where it like bleeds in and like some of the planets orbit just in the edge of it, the moons, I should say. And there's a point where it's like quite thin, and that's you've been led to believe the point that has like opened, where suddenly there's a way through when there hasn't been a way through for a very, very long time. It's really far out in terms of like way beyond like normal orbits. You know, it's going to be like way in the middle of nowhere, deep space sort of stuff, and alarmingly close to that terrifying black hole. But that's the way you got to go.
Like, how long are we talking for days, like far away? How long are we going to be stuck on a ship together? Are we going to make it alive?
Such a question that I don't have the answer to. It's probably a week. Let's say a week.
Do we have to worry about any kind of passing through any kind of delicate or compromising, you know, areas on the way there? You know, should it be as far as we know, should it be a fairly
right,
you know,
so
quiet trip, you know?
Yep. So either you'll go through like the pass between the Harbinger and Arganis. Arganis is the moon that Sept Grimmar control. Or you'll go through the gap between Forloren and Harbinger. Forloren is where it's basically this ruined planet, or this ruined moon, where Septinua controls. So either way, you're going through this sort of like a strait, if you're thinking it in land terms, both of which are like Sept controlled. And then beyond that, out in the black, there's Scrugs and there's all these like pirates and things like that beyond.
Okay.
It's definitely not safe.
Okay. Yep. That's what I want to know. Okay. Thanks. Well, if it looks like all the navigation's in order, we got ourselves a ship. What else do we need? Are we ready?
Whenever you are, love.
Let's get rich or die trying, I guess. Let's get to it.
All right. I'll nod towards Jackie and give her a deep bow and say, "After you, my lady. You're the leader now."
Medic. This way.
Daddy
So-
would be proud.
I will.
I imagine you guys walk outside and there's like the car park, and you can see like the busted up ships of all of you, and then there's like this like brand new, sparkling, like really nice, really safe, like fairly heavily armed ship that Jackie's been given for like a recent birthday present. And it just like towers above the other ships, and it's obviously like modern. It's got like all these like onboard computers, and it's got like a Spectre and things like that. As you like make your way towards it.
It's a beauty.
Yes, I don't get jealous easy, but well done.
Was that an actual compliment?
About as close as you'll get.
That depends. Wait, what's in the bar?
Nothing until we're done, Maddox. Someone's got to keep their wits about them. And judging by the look of the Mancer, it ain't him.
You can like approach it, and the ramp will come down, and you can make your way in. So there's like this automated defense turret, and the Spectre's voice. What's the Spectre called, Jackie?
Gil.
Gil. You'll hear this it's like soft voice say, 4 unexpected life forms detected. Should I consider them friendly?
Yeah, they're friendly.
Profiles updated.
Thank you. But do keep them at the yellow level, please, rather than green.
Acknowledged. And so as you like walk up, even though it's not firing, the defense turret will like follow each of you as you make your way into the ship. It's the kind of design that's like white, if you know what I mean. It's that kind of space look where everything's white and clean. There's like this central area with like a round table and all these like seats that are bolted to the ground. Like a general sort of living area. Then engineering in the back and cockpit in the front, and some space for cargo and things like that. It's pretty roomy. It's pretty comfortable, probably much more so than you're used to. Not the sort of buckets of rust and bolts that you're used to.
So, do you have like a servant to fly this, or?
Torrent, you got the nav. You fly it. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Oh,
You're a big
sure.
boy.
Thank you, darling. You really know the habit.
Warning, yellow level clearance will not allow Torrent to fly.
Well, it appears my hands are tied. Unless, of course, you would like to give me the green light.
Green level clearance for Torrent.
Acknowledged.
You're a darling. Thank you. And he'll kind of spin around with a flourish and head towards the cockpit.
Yeah, it's beautiful and very user-friendly compared to what you're used to. So the cockpit that you have in your ship is just all these like arcane buttons and switches, like none of which are labeled, all of which is just you have to figure it out by flicking things up and down and pressing buttons, and like when you hold down 2 buttons and press another one to make it work, and that's what you're used to. Here, there's like this incredible clean system, and you can like hold an actual wheel, and there are joysticks, and it's this whole thing. A joy compared to what you used to.
Somebody better bloody ship than the Sept will even give me. I'm in the wrong line of work, apparently.
Medical, he'll find a nice, comfy-looking chair, kind of move it as if he can't believe that it's bolted down. Kind of sigh, plop down in it, kind of start emptying his pockets and putting all kinds of like little dirty, little knickknacks and things all over the nice clean table, and then he'll put his feet up on the table and kind of just sit back and look around, take it all in.
So you can get comfy, I guess all of you, and like find seats and things like that. In the living area, there's room in the cockpit for like several other people. There's somebody you can get on comms, somebody who can get on scanners, somebody who can get on weapons and things like that if you want to do that kind of thing. And you can get prepared to go. Although each of those stations will require green level clearance.
There's some internal grumbling and a lot of sighing as she grudgingly gives green level clearance to the rest of the group, just so she doesn't have to do everything.
Acknowledged.
Fucking safety protocols.
Yeah, your dad was pretty clear on this ship protecting you, and so he's gotten you a particular Spectre to look after you. So with all that done and people in the right sort of compartments or whatever, you're able to take off, and it's no challenge for you, Torrent. If you can fly the thing you call a ship, then this is like it's got cruise control. It basically drives itself, and you're able to like take off and fly up into through the atmosphere and into orbit, and begin heading out towards the black and whatever else dwells out there. The journey for the first 2 days is totally uneventful. There's just boredom. It does have like nice radios and like you can listen to music and you can like put in whatever you like and it'll play it. It's also got like holo vids and things like that that you can watch for the pretty boring flight, because once you're in space you just tell it where to go and it'll do it. That's the case for most ships. So is there anything in like those couple of days that you'd like to do or talk about or engage in?
Yes, but I'll give everyone else a chance first.
So if it would be possible, I know that the information about this is kind of on the down low and into distant history, but Roland does have a pretty good historical knowledge. Is there anything that I might be able to gain off of like exactly this planet that we're going to, or this ship?
Yep, you can definitely try. Give me one of them dice rolls that apparently you use in these games.
A first dice roll. So that is still just gonna be a 12.
Okay. It's hazy. You know that there used to be a sept called Triton, which was like the absolute ruler of the orbits. And there was a rebellion a long time ago where Sept Alzarine got some of the other septs to work together. And between them, they managed to overthrow Sept Triton. Beyond that, though, you don't know much. You know that Triton had like a dominance based on their metalwork, and that they had these insane ships that they used to basically like rule by tyranny.
I was actually thinking something along the same lines, possibly doing research to see if I could either find any kind of layout for Scythios, or perhaps like the same class of ship that it was.
Sure. Yeah, you can give me a... I guess we can call it history. I wonder, is there an internet? I wonder. I don't think so, really.
No, not listed.
Yeah, you can give me a. Go ahead and give me history.
That's only a 13.
Okay, so much the same. Like you know that they had these ships that were much bigger than the kind of ships that people use nowadays. Ships that had like crews of dozens, if not hundreds. Big warships. with the kind of weaponry that could like do orbital bombardments and like really threaten a whole moon from orbit, which is something that really now is beyond what people can do. A lot of those ships would have been from like the old days, the elder days when there was still fast light technology and things like that. And these ships would have been from that era and just like maintained. Much of the power would have been lost, but they managed to maintain them enough to like still threaten the orbits.
So I think it's going to be a pretty big ship then, it sounds like.
Yes, bigger than any ship that you would probably have been on, for sure.
Right.
I'd like to see if I can pick up any chatter, maybe if Big Jack has heard anything about who else is heading this way or has headed this way.
Okay, yeah. You want to just call them?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's definitely like a comm unit that you can use to like use the long range whisper units, the kind of thing that like Jack has invested heavily in. And you can call it up. Darling.
Big Jack, we're about 3 days in. Any word, any chatter, who else is going? Who's already going?
Yeah, it's dead. Totally dead.
No, there's always chatter.
Don't interrupt me. I haven't heard anything. I'm certain that there are people on the way, but they're being quiet about it. You can guarantee that Elzarine and probably Grimar are on the way. I've finished.
Any ships left recently?
Not from here.
Okay. If we come across them, engage, avoid.
Be careful. If you die on me, I'll kill you.
Don't die while I'm gone, Big Jack. I'll kill you back.
Roger.
I'll close out the channel. Great. We have no information about who else is going to be there. Except that everybody's going to be there. Maybe.
So we're expecting a lot of company then.
Seems likely. The fact that there's no chatter, that there's nothing about it, suggests that there's something going on.
I would have to agree. Usually it's the quietest jobs that are the ones that you should have to worry the most about.
And you have to reckon with a pay like 1 million glint that there is something major going on here. That's like not even close to normal money.
How much do we know about the moon itself, like as far as terrain and things of that nature?
That's a good question. I guess like you would have looked up some records and stuff and would have seen that it was once a Triton world, like a agri world, a farm world. But records indicate that it was like almost destroyed in the battle that happened in orbit above it.
I asked Jackie, what kind of scanners does this thing have? How powerful?
Long range, short range, astro life signs, maybe some power signals.
Well, from the sounds of it, we better really have our eyes wide open and our ears open as well, especially the closer we get. The problem is that I don't know if it's a bright idea to try to set down as close as we can to the wreckage, or kind of stay away and kind of move in nice and easy on foot. We're just going to have to probably play it by ear.
You wouldn't happen to have any lever bikes aboard this ship, would you?
Would I?
Nope.
Does the ship happen to have a cloaking device or mechanism or anything
It's
fancy?
Not that good.
Ah. That was the next model.
It's just like if you imagine it's like a brand new car, right? It's not like a warship, but it's just like it's got all of the mod comms. It's you know, it's got one of those little computers you can like do it like when you're reversing. All that stuff is there, but it's not like a stealth ship or a warship, really. You know,
It's the Toyota Highlander of cars.
yes.
Of ships, yeah. Nope, sorry. We're walking. Or we're parking close.
Well, I'm always one to favor a quick getaway, if we can. But hiding in plain sight does not usually work. I'll defer judgment on this call.
Aren't you supposed to be the one that's good at this? Why are you not making the judgment call on
Let's
this?
just go in nice and easy. Maybe you never know. There may be some other stragglers on about. You know, we may be able to just kind of glide in without looking like we're really looking, and set down as close as we can, and just kind of slip in under their noses, maybe.
You think we're gonna be at a moon that's been lost for 150 years, that's next to a black hole, and we're gonna slide under someone's radar?
Well, sweetie, I'm thinking there might be a lot of debris in the upper atmosphere. You know, we may just be able to kind of use that to our advantage. I'm just guessing. I've never been there, you know, but if you have some other info about it, please share it with us, you know?
I sure will, sweetie.
Wink, wink.
Who's on scanners?
I'll be on scanners if nobody else wants to be.
Okay, can you make me a perception check, please?
That would be a 14.
Okay, yeah, you've like going through like next to this like asteroid field, and there's like a blip for a moment. You're like looking, and you're like, nah, and then you like tap the screen a few times, which is what you do on your ship. You just kind of hit it a few times and see if it changes, and it does. It looks like it's nothing.
Yeah, I'll basically hit it and then ignore it because it's gone away.
Oi, gentle on the equipment.
It's malfunctioning. Just like all equipment does.
No. This does not malfunction. Gil, are there any malfunctions?
I'm like, who's Gil?
Gil's malfunctioning.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I was like, oh man, Lloyd's throwing me for a loop.
Virus.
No damage detected.
I don't care what it says. It glitched.
Another day will go by as you like wander through space towards the bleeding eye. You can see it now in the distance as you like look out the cockpit. This just insane sight. It looks almost like an actual eye. There's like this red iris, and it's like black at the center, and it's like yellowish and white all around, almost like a colossal eye of some god staring at you as you like approach towards it. You think there's another couple of days before you arrive, and you pass by closer to Arganis than the Harbinger, for good reason. Although you can see the Harbinger too as you pass. This insane amalgamation of ships that have been like smashed together somehow. Just this thing that doesn't make any sense. Its shape doesn't make sense. Angles don't make sense. All of it is. And every time you see it, you like it hurts your eyes to try and look at it and understand it. On the other side of you is Arganis, the biggest moon in the orbit. This like massive frosty moon where Sept Grimmar makes their home. And you'll be like once or twice challenged by Grimmar ships, but you can like provide fake documents and like give them whatever necessary trading charters and stuff like that that you would have prepared, and make your way by their patrols.
So I think at some point, we cut to one of the like the quarters aboard this ship, where it's kind of like dimly lit by some kind of color of neon, and I think that an unmasked Torrent and possibly even Obsidian are kind of lying there, and he kind of seriously turns to her a little and says, "Don't trust Medic. He's got a reputation.
I'm fully aware of that.
Can I count on you to have my back if I'll watch yours?"
Absolutely. Always.
I knew I could. And he kind of tussles her hair a little, kind of leans over and gives her a kiss.
Another day of travel sees you approaching the Bleeding Eye a lot closer than you would like, and you can feel this weirdness about it. You know that it's like this Astra anomaly, all this like magic that like just hangs in space. It's insane power. If you could harness it, you think you would be a god. As you approach it, you can see this rift that's opened. Obviously, there was once like this long arm of it that like extended outwards and like blocked this whole section of space. You can see that like part of it has like drifted apart, and there's like a gap, maybe a couple of 100 kilometers wide, that you could fly through, but would have been totally unreachable for a very long time.
I imagine at this point, like Torrent's probably taken it off of the autopilot, like not fully trusting, even though that this thing is, super, tricked out and everything. Flying this close to a black hole probably has all kinds of crazy effects on, all the automated systems and things. So he's going to actually hold on to the sticks for this one.
Sure. You can like approach it. As you get closer and closer, Roland, you're like sitting maybe in the quarters or maybe like on one of the bolted down chairs, counting like the 4 coins that you have left. And you like look around, and for a minute, like you blink, and then you open your eyes. The entire ship is made of flesh. Like it's all just made of skin and muscle and sinew, like everywhere that you look. And all of the windows are mouth with teeth, everything that you see all around, just for a moment, and you like blink and it's gone again.
Yeah, for a moment, his like hands come up. A flash of red comes over them in a defensive stance as he's just kind of like blinks, and then as quickly as this has happened, it's now back to normal. He just kind of like puts a hand on his forehead and then to his temple, and just kind of like tries to shake it off. But he stands up, kind of walking around, trying to like get his adrenaline to calm back down to steady his breath. And he looks out one of the now normal windows again, up at that still strange shape of the Harbinger. And even though it hurts his eyes to look at it, it hurts his brain to look at it, It doesn't calm him down to look at it, which is what he needs. He still looks at it with kind of a strange curiosity. He can't help but be drawn to this strangeness. And he thinks that that's probably where it came from, if you had to guess.
There's like this moment as you continue to fly towards it, Torrent, where there's a sudden like alarm goes off, and you at the sensors, Obsidian, you see this like sudden reading that there are like 100 life forms on the ship, like crawling all over the side of it, all over it, and even inside of it, you can see like some of the quarters that there are like things there, and the ship is going ballistic. These alarms start blaring.
Not a good noise. Not a good noise.
Intruders detected.
Intrude? What? Where in the hell did they come from?
Hull breach detected.
Hull breach?
Seal
Engines
breach
malfunctioning.
areas.
Life systems at 10%.
Conserve ops. What the fuck?
Jackie, what is going on with your ship?
Obsidian gives it a big whack. Like, this thing is just glitching out. She's just going to smash it.
You do that, and then you begin to float. The grav normalizers have stopped, and all of you just begin to like float up. You can still breathe, but like the lights have like gone dark and then like turned into this like reddish purple, and you'll just like float in the ship, and there's like this and like you float near a window, Jackie, and you can see like on the outside something skitters past the window, something just and then another strange thing in space. It looks like a lizard or something, just like skitters past.
Gil's still off the bridge. Reinitiate gravity.
Initiated gravity.
Oh god. Oh god, so Harbinger's dead.
Detected.
Torrent is voidborn, so he is actually pretty comfortable in low gravity and zero gravity environments. So he's fairly calm in this situation, aside from the rest of the glaring alarms and the possibility of whatever the hell is going on elsewhere on the ship. He tries to stay calm and see if he can't get into the piloting of the ship, like the mechanics and things, and see if he can do some kind of manual override.
Sure. Yeah, so you can pull your way along some of the handholds and things like that. Being used to being on ships and like pull yourself down to the seat and strap the belt on. Although you're still kind of floating, you're not floating away from it. You can give me a tech roll, please.
That's a 15.
Okay, yeah, so you get there and you like begin like typing in some of these codes and trying to like write itself. And the lights will like return to normal, and those sensors will suggest that there's nothing outside or inside the ship. And Gil returns to a normal voice. Life support, 100%. No hull breach detected. All is well.
What the hell just happened?
All is well.
Gil, all is not fucking well.
No damage detected.
Scan the outside of the ship.
Scanning. No problems detected. No life forms detected. No hull breach detected.
This is great. You guys don't come out near the Harbinger too much, do you? This is par for the fucking course.
No. Roland, there was something outside. I saw it.
Yeah, and I saw the ship turn into a flesh monster with window face eyes, so we all see some weird shit over in these parts of the space. Get used to it.
You're able to fly through that gap in the bleeding eye. As you like come out the other side, you just see like for a moment, you can see the eye itself, this like light years wide eye, and it seems to like look at the ship and like look at you for a moment, and you like shake that feeling of insignificance away, and you're out the other side, and you're in space again. And you can see, like not far from that gap, you can see the moon of Abskull before you. And it was apparently once an agri world, but now it looks like a ruin. You can see, even from this distance, like cracked tectonic plates, lava flows, and this insane like cloud that seems to surround the moon.
Are we sure that this ship is even going to be here still?
What do you mean by that?
Well, take a gander out the window there. It looks like hell on earth.
That's
Very
just
easily
like I
could have been
said.
worse.
Just kind of fly casual. Go on, just go through there.
Like casual, just go through there. Yeah, no understanding of thermal dynamics whatsoever. That's fantastic. Why don't you have a seat and strap in?
Do we have any idea on this planet where this ship is? If we do, I can go check it out.
What do you mean? Go check it out.
Yeah, no one's going anywhere alone. Absolutely not.
Are you guys fucking idiots? I'm a man, sir. Jesus fucking Christ. Do we know where the ship is on the planet, or do we not?
Unless you've got a treasure map hidden up your ass? No. But you can pull the stick out of there.
I was going to say it might be wrapped around that stick.
Very funny.
As you continue flying, you can see that as you get closer, there is a ship in orbit above the planet. Big ship. It looks like a war ship by the looks of things. And by the design, it's sort of boxy. It almost looks like a weapon, the ship itself, and you understand it to be almost certainly a Sept Grimoire ship. It's in orbit and just like floating there. It definitely hasn't detected you. You're quite far away, and you're also very small, so it's unlikely to like notice you unless you really approach it.
Well, we are definitely not the first ones to arrive at the dance, boys and girls. Any suggestions?
Can we see if the long-range sensors work on this thing? See if they can detect where the ship may be? Or is there too much interference now?
You definitely try. Obsidian, you want to give me a perception?
That'll be a 17.
Okay, so you begin to scan the planet at like a long distance, and it's insane. It looks like many of the tectonic plates have like crashed and cracked. It looks like the planet might have been turned to glass at some point. There's like this residue of like nuclear fallout and of like cyclonic torpedo fallout, and like that the atmosphere might have at one stage been lit on fire, the entire air of the moon. Just like war on a scale that only insane spaceships could do. And you can see as you scan that there's like several ruined spaceships all over that are like sticking out of the planet as if they're mountains that have like collided with it all over. And scanning through, you do detect one that's particularly large, and it's consistent-ish with what you imagine a great warship would be. It is half of it remains, the other half seems to have vanished, and it's like perched on the edge of this insane chasm.
I'll kind of walk up behind where Torrance seated at the control panel, kind of looking over his shoulder. And does Obsidian relay that info to us?
Yeah, absolutely. She would let you know that there's actually a chasm there too, that maybe we can use it to hide, potentially.
Damn, Sid. That's a good work. That's great. And I lean over to over Torrance's shoulder and I say, that's what I used to call her, Sid. She likes that.
I imagine she may not like it as much as you think. He's going to fly towards this chasm and try to do a couple of small side scans of his own just to make sure that the ship might actually fit. What that might do to the the stabilizers and all that kind of stuff to see if he can actually find a spot to land.
Sure.
Torrent, make sure you take us well around the Grimmar ship. We don't want to set off any alarms.
No, I quite agree. I'm fairly certain they have a large bounty on my head.
Fucking. Fine. If we catch up to him, I'm not responsible for you.
Oh no. We shouldn't cross paths with him. I hope. Optimism. I have lots of it.
You can find yourself a little section of the chasm that you can fly into. It looks bottomless. Hundreds, if not thousands of feet deep. Might go to the very crust of the moon. Looks like it's like cracked right in half. And like hanging over the edge is half of the biggest spaceship you've ever seen. You imagine if the other half was here, it would just be ridiculously enormous, and you think it must be down the chasm, the other half. More than half of the remaining half is dangling over the edge of the chasm, and it's kind of like sideways, leaning downwards. You can see at one end is obviously the bridge. It like comes to a point. Looks like the other, like the Grimmar ship, kind of similar actually, like a weapon. It looks like a knife or something like that. And it kind of spreads upwards, like vertically. Almost looks like a shark in some ways. And you can see like that basically it's been cracked in half, and all these like girders and like bits of steel and chrome and things are just like hanging out, and all these things are like dangling down into the chasm. But it looks like your scans suggest like the bridge itself, where once was glass, is just open, and you'll be able to get in there also. So either you come in through the ruin here or through the other side. Looks like all the airlocks have been or are sealed. There's no like obvious normal way to get into this thing.
So just to clarify, it looks like we could fly our ship into the bridge of the other one?
Yeah, or at least land on the very front of the ship and like walk
I
in
see.
through the glass where the bridge would have been.
And this is or is not the Skephios?
You're almost sure it is.
Okay, cool. But the other ship was still some distance away, the other Sept's ship?
So the Grimmar ship would have been up in orbit still. It's a much bigger ship. It wouldn't be able to come in to the planet itself.
Well, so any takers on front or rear?
I call rear.
Landed on the bridge.
Well, that's one for each.
Definitely bridge.
Oh, if you say so. He's going to turn and kind of gently glide it over towards the bridge of the ship and try to set it down.
Yeah, so the bridge of the ship, the front of the ship, basically from like vertically is probably 700 or 800 feet. And you're able to like land your ship like a fly landing on a human, just like this. Doesn't even like move or wobble in any sort of way. It's nothing, it seems, to the size of this thing. And you can see like once there was this incredible, obviously like glass setup where they could look out from the bridge into whatever lies beyond, but obviously whatever impact sundered the glass, and now there's just like this open portal basically that leads into what was once the bridge. It suggests that the atmosphere is actually breathable, despite all evidence to the contrary. It looks like there is an atmosphere here, and that it's manageable. Though the heat of the planet is pretty unbearable, and there is this like constant roiling sort of lightning storm. As you like look up, there's just constant like rain and thunder and lightning that like scales the sky in every direction.
Torrent's kind of busying himself, making sure he's got all of his gear ready, and then he kind of moves towards this the ramp or whatever that leads down out of the ship, kind of waiting for the rest of this group to join him.
Obsidian would be following right behind him. And as she's getting up out of her chair and getting all the stuff ready, she would actually pass by Matic, and she would literally bump right into him. And as she was doing that, she's like, "You stay away from me. You have no more right." And she would keep walking.
He kind of a smile kind of comes over his lips, and he nods his head and kind of laughs and says, "Anything you say, doll. Anything you say."
So as you make your way to get ready to head out onto the moon itself and onto the ship, we're going to take a real quick break there to go to the little girl's room and have a little smoke and such. We'll be back in like 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll see what lies inside the Scythios.
I have returned. Hello, everybody.
We're having fun.
I love groups like this.
Whew, I feel like I need a fan or something to fan myself from this sass. Unbelievable. Oh my god.
Sass overload.
Yep.
Unheard of levels of sass.
Yep.
I feel like I don't think fast enough to be sassy. It's a lot of work.
Okay, I think we're all back. So, you're able to step out of the ship, and to your surprise, yeah, the air is breathable. It's smoggy, and it smells a bit sulfurous. But Gil assured you that it is safe, although maybe not pleasant. It is safe to breathe.
I've got my helmet with the breather on, anyways.
Yep, I imagine most of you have something similar. You're able to make your way up the side of the ship and towards the lip of the bridge, and you can like enter into it. It's a strange, sort of like an amphitheater, if you imagine, and on each level there are like several stations where people would sit. And by the looks of things, there's like a weapons, like an ordnance sort of area, and a surveying area, and like a comms area. And like dangling from the ceiling is this throne, this ridiculous throne, where obviously like the captain of the ship would sit. And you can see like engraved above where the window would be, above where the view would be, this like beautiful carving of a man with his arms spread wide. He's got a trident in one hand, a crown on his head, and the lower half of a fish. And it says, I am the shaker of the earth. I am the lord of the waves, emblazoned there. There's a door at the back of this room as well.
Well, the septs do not tend to spare any expense, especially when they can show their power and their might. Shall we?
Well, you
Yet
volunteered.
for all
to
its
take
might,
one.
it's still here, broken in half in the bottom of a ravine. So much for power. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Torrent's going to start crossing the bridge. You know, I just don't see them having placed any traps here, at least initially. So he's more or less just going to kind of be scanning to see if there looks like anything that would have been added after the Sept was done with the ship. Any kind of tech that would stand out like that, like it was added as a trap later.
Okay. Yep, I see what you mean. So like look around, you can see that that throne is obviously some sort of ancient tech, it looks like. Like the captain would sit there and there would be things like inserted into the spinal column, and like so that he would be able to like control the ship almost psychically, and like have information fed into him and things like that. That's technology that's long lost. And even knowing that exists is probably something worth noting. But like looking around for things that are new, you don't detect anything. There's lots of like skeletons like laying over their stations. And it looks like there's been like real sort of like the front part of this looks like it's been mostly vaporized from the impact. But they don't detect anything like new or like looks out of place.
Would it be would it make sense to assume that there's like, I don't know, like is there a layer of dust over everything, or
yeah, there'd be like a layer of soot and dust and grime for sure.
okay, does it look like we've been the latest ones here to disturb this area, or does it show signs of any previous
Sure.
people or things?
Let's do an investigation.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, 16.
Okay, so as you're like making your way through, you do detect at the door at the far side, you can see some sort of scuffing, and it looks like a boot print there in the dust.
All right, I'll turn and wave my hand forward to everyone and point in front of me so that they can make note of it. We ain't the only ones here.
We should probably switch communications to Whisperlinks only. I'm on channel 4.
That's a good idea.
As everyone's getting on Whisperlink, Jackie connects to Maddox. All right, listen. Big Jack barely trusts you as it is. You come back without me, doesn't matter how much glint you have, you won't live long enough to spend it. We clear?
We're crystal clear. We're crystal clear. But tell me this. What if just you and me make it back? Then what?
Fine. I don't care.
Well, you remember, just like it was back in the day at that
don't.
slam we were at.
Don't bring that up. Don't bring that up.
You know
that was
how
not fun. We're not. All right,
if I make the call.
Fine, if you make the call.
No hesitation.
Agreed.
So imagine somebody. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'll kneel up. I'm assuming that, of course, there's no sense or of any kind of power or anything in this behemoth. So I was gonna ask, does it appear as though like the bulkheads or the doors are in like closed positions? Do we have to pry stuff open to get through, or does it? It just depends.
So these are space doors. They go, and it looks like they've been pried open already and then closed behind them. And you think that you could probably pry them open again.
Okay. All right. I will, over the whisper link, I will inform our party. I'll let them know that I will at least take initial point. There's no telling what we're going to encounter or who we're going to encounter. And unfortunately, it looks as though our line of sight is very limited. So just be prepared for anything. I look towards I'll look towards I guess I'll look towards Roland, and I'll ask him. I'll say, is there anything that you can do maybe to give us some kind of edge, or keep us aware of maybe what's going on in front of us or ahead of us?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on for just a second. I'm gonna go for a walk. And as he says that, he just sits on the ground, and like lays up against a wall. And it looks like he just like literally like he sat up against a wall and went to sleep. But you'll see like a slight flash of yellow come from his eyes. And what I'm going to do here, Lloyd, if I can, is cast one of my spells, which is Void Projection.
Yes, absolutely.
So everybody else would just see Roland literally like say he's going to go for a walk and then sit down on the ground against a wall. But what he sees is like himself then stand back up and like look down and see his own body there as he's become this like form of yellow Astra. And he's just going to walk right through the door, even while it's closed, and start kind of taking a little bit of a look around ahead.
So as you like come out into the hall beyond, there's like a pretty wide hall, and you can see more inscriptions. These like this same figure, this man with the trident and the crown, and like in one of the images, he's like holding the trident up, and you can see these massive walls collapsing. In others, he's like riding on the waves, with like, and the waves are horses and all this sort of stuff. All these like different images. As you like enter into the hallway on your left, you can see that there's like a noted room that says Manser Choir. On the other side, it says comm station. You can go further down, and there's more rooms like marked engineering prime and engineering secondary, and yeah, and at the very end of this corridor, there's like a big, heavy bulkhead. You don't see anybody. You are muted, Jeff.
Haha, I am. So I'm gonna like walk down the hallway, seeing like all these different rooms, making note of what I see where, just within memory. But as I get down to the end of this hallway where this large door is, I'm just gonna like poke my head through it, and just peek into this next room past it.
Sure. So beyond, there's like a big open space. Looks like it might have been like a gathering place, and like you can see there was once this like big pillar with screens and stuff, which obviously would have like given news about the ship and things like that. And there's like signs of once that there was like fountains here and trees and things like that, but it's all just like gone. And you can see there's munitions station 1. There's like massive bulkhead that obviously opens up into like a big area where the main guns are. There's a science bay door, also a med bay door, and then another weapons station. And then beyond, at the far side of this, the ship just stops, and you can see like down into the chasm, and can hear the like howling of the wind and the of thunder and the of the acid rain.
So the spell only lasts for a minute, so I'd imagine that's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
So just for fun, Roland's still in his form with the last little bit of time that he has, is going to jump off into the chasm, and just like see down as far as he can see, until the spell runs out and the form and the astral form dissipates back into his normal body.
Yeah, you can do so. There's like this feeling of disconnection and like fear as you like leap off into, even though you know it's not your real body, there's still that like fear, and you can feel like the as you fall just straight down to this chasm, past all these caves and things. You see like some strange creatures, like flying creatures that will like fly out and like swirl around the chasm. And as you go even further down, you start to see like hints of magma at the bottom. It's like orange glow, and then you like appear back in your body.
And he'll like snap back awake. Like when you have a dream where you're falling and then like right before you hit, you like wake up. That's like exactly what happens. Though he's actually just done that in real life. I'm just kind of like, oh, and then like realize that of course he's safe. Why wouldn't he be? But it still happens every time. And he'll kind of shake his head and stand back up, and then start like listing off like, okay, there's a hallway, there's these rooms, these rooms, these rooms, and there's a bulkhead, and then there's these rooms. Just basically give everybody the laydown of everything that he had seen. I didn't see any people though.
Well, that's a comfort, I suppose.
And you saw the science area, which means it's not down in the chasm.
So at least one part of the job might be easy.
Well, let's move like we got a purpose, people.
After you. I believe you are Point, aren't you?
Medical snap the restraining strap, take it loose from his weapon, and kind of just let it comfortably rest in one hand, and he'll swiftly start to move ahead, kind of scanning left and right, using his night sight, for lack of a better word, to kind of peer in the flickering shadows as he moves ahead.
Yep. You can like pass by that Manser choir room, and you can hear something in there. No sound from the comm room. And as you like continue down the hallway, you'll see the 2 engineering stations, and then at the end, this big bulkhead, as I described earlier.
He may try to keep himself like, I don't know, like about maybe, I don't know, maybe like about, I don't know, 20 meters maybe, you know, ahead of everyone. Um, just enough so not only they can kind of still see him in the corridor ahead, but also so he can periodically kind of look over his shoulder and try to mark their location as well. Um, and once he gets to that, the spot just right up ahead, I'll look again to kind of maybe see if I see any other footsteps or any smudges or anything like I noticed before, and wait for the rest of the party to catch up.
Okay, you guys following?
Torrent is, but he wants to be closer to the back, if at all possible.
Roland, which way?
Which room are we trying to get to? We're
I
going
guess
straight for the
wherever.
science room?
Yeah, the science area, so we can find that weird red vial. That's our primary objective.
That was through the big bulkhead in the open space area, right, Lloyd?
Yep.
Yeah. So like point all the way down the hallway to like this huge blast door at the other end. Other side of that, there's a huge open space, almost like a clearing, although it's still part of the ship. Science room and munitions bay are past that door in that space.
Matic turns, looks up the hallway or the corridor, and then turns again, and he makes note. Does it appear as though anyone else may have the shadow sight as well?
Torrent definitely does. Having
Roland does too.
And having been in space.
Okay.
Yeah, Obsidian does too.
Okay, so Jackie's the only one that's kind of okay. Okay. In general, how it's got to be pretty. The darkness has to be pretty dense in here, correct, Lloyd?
Yeah, it is pretty dark. There's like a faint glow, I guess, from the outside still, but really it's dark at this stage. It's very hard to see. I guess with your night vision, you guys can see at least in black and white.
Roland will look over to Jackie and with just the biggest smirk on his face. Just, do you need a nightlight?
Fuck off, Mancer. We can't all be special.
He'll hold up his hand, and it'll glow green. And then suddenly he'll hold his hand out and a green light will shed from it like a torch. Just for you. For Daddy's little girl.
You're going to be in debt further to Daddy if you keep talking.
Nah, already owe him more than I can pay anyways. A little bit more won't hurt.
Really, Roland.
If I get to see her squirm a little bit, it's worth it.
That's good to know. And
is it, Torrent?
Keep that light over there, if you would, please. He's gonna kind of
like
give a little
shine
more
it over
space.
in your face.
Wonderful, thank you. We're children now. That's great.
Must be that stick stuck up somewhere, as you said.
Indeed.
You can hear that faint noise coming from the Mancer choir room. The door is closed, but there's like some sort of noise in there or something. It's marked as Mancer choir. That's like the name of the room. Opposite it is the comm station, and then there's the two engineering bays. And then at the very, very end, there's a bulkhead, as I said.
What the hell is a Mancer choir?
That's a good question. Anybody roll a history check? You can try and find out.
No one knows, obviously.
Nope.
I will. I'll roll history on that. That's one of mine. Ooh, 18.
Okay, so you've heard stories about this being a Mancer, probably. that there's like stories of in elder days that that Sept Triton would like get these groups of mancers and like put them into a room together, and they would like train them together to be like a unit, and they would like pool their powers together and would be able to like provide the ship with sort of extra sensory perceptions. So like sort of limited precognition and like use their ability to astrally project, all these like little edge things that you'd be able to do that would win you a war at the end of the day. It's obviously gone out of fashion, or they don't know how to do it anymore. One or the other.
Probably the second one. Either way, Roland would pass along the information as he sees people probably start to like listen and look towards the sign. Would explain it and then note it's a little strange to still be hearing noise, though. You'd think that they would be long gone.
Maybe you ought to take a look, huh?
I don't know if that's such a great idea, at least for me to go by myself.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Roland. I don't know that if I really want to meet a mancer that's been alive for 150 years.
Well, it could be whoever that boot print belonged to.
It's possible. Do we want?
You need a nightlight, Roland, or someone to hold your hand.
Roland will drop concentration on the torchlight.
I'd rather for us to know what's in there than to keep going and have whatever it is maybe come up behind us.
All right, fine. I'll go give it a look. And Torrent will slink off that direction, trying to stick to the darkest parts.
Towards the Mancer Choir?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the door is closed. And much like the others, it's one of these that opens this way. You'd have to like pry it, probably open to try and get in.
If at all possible, he's going to actually kind of look around for like a possible life support connection, like maybe that where air might be pumped into this room or anything like that.
Looking up, you can see it's a spaceship. There are air vents and things like that everywhere, ventilation shafts.
So he's going to kind of look up at that, and he's going to reach kind of into this fitted the clothing that he wears. And he's going to pull out this small little sphere, probably about the size of a piece of fruit, and he's going to press a couple of buttons in the positions where his fingers are already, and then he lets it go, and it very carefully kind of bobs its way up to this ductwork, and just like this little tiny pinpoint of a laser just like comes out of it and cuts a hole that's perfectly big enough for it to kind of then glide through. I'm going to send my scout spheroid. It allows me to see through it, and I'm going to let it go through the ventilation system. Hopefully it can get a view into the room.
Yeah, it can. It can like slide in through there, and you can see like down through some of these grates. And in this room, there was once a sort of like a circular table with 8 chairs. And at each chair, there is a skeleton in a robe, tattered robe. But more noticeable than that is the thing we'll see hanging from the ceiling, this like strange thing, sort of a mix of a squid and a spider. It's like hanging onto the ceiling. And you can see even that there's like this vague sort of fog in this room of Astra, or a couple of different colors of Astra that have obviously like faded from the dead Mancers, and that this thing has like taken up a home here.
And it's fairly clear that it's not a part of this ship originally, that it's something organic.
It looks sort of biomechanical, like a mix of mechanical and organic.
But it looks like it kind of took over this area, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, he's very carefully going to have his spheroid come back, return to him, and then he'll slink back over to where the group is. I really don't think that room holds anything that we want to mess with, honestly. There's some bizarre sort of frightening creature that seems to have taken up residence in the room where everyone else is dead.
Jackie's like shaking her glow rod to light it up. All right, then we keep going.
Okay. All right. I'll keep moving ahead then. So much for that.
All right. So you can make your way to this bulkhead, this door, and it looks like there's power for this door. And you would have seen, which I forgot to mention, Roland, as you went through this door, there was power on the other side. Certainly around like the science and the weapon areas, some sort of like tertiary backup power. And it looks like this door might be powered.
Yeah, he definitely would have conveyed that information as well then, knowing that that there seems to be some sort of power left.
Torrent, how's that possible?
No, that's a very good question. It would have to be one hell of a battery to be able to still hold a charge this long after this ship supposedly crashed here. I could take a look.
It's also possible that someone else has powered it up, just this region, to get at whatever's inside. Remember, we're not the only ones here. Or am I the only one that seems to remember that?
Even without the glow rod, you're the only one who sees clearly, Jackie.
That was suspiciously close to a compliment. Can you, Roland, can you take a peek or something? I don't know. I don't want to go in blind.
Well, there wasn't anybody there when I just looked a couple minutes ago. And as much as I'd like to walk around willy-nilly, it takes quite a bit to do what I did. So a couple minutes will have to be enough time.
Roland might be a lot of things, but a liar is not one of them. At least, not usually. Must be safe if he says it is.
If there's people over there, I die too, so...
I figured you might be telling the truth. So, I trust him.
All right, open the door. Madak, you ready?
Okay, I'll shoulder it if needed and slide it open.
Yeah, you can like do so, and it'll just like the push seems to like activate whatever like sensor it had previously, and it'll open to the point and then stop. So you'll have to like duck under to get in, but it's open enough.
Okay, all right, I'll go in first, duck under, weapon leading.
Yeah, this is like cloud of dust that will like blow into the corridor you were just in when the bulkhead will open from like you can see maybe 70 or 80 feet away from you where the ship just like has been sliced in half and like you can see down somewhat into that chasm below. As described, there's this big pillar in the middle with like cracked screens and like broken readouts and things like that. There's two big bulkhead doors that are like munitions area prime, munitions area secondary, whatever. A med bay and a science bay.
Okay, I'll stand just right on the other side of the door with one arm kind of propping the door open and my weapon in the other hand kind of still looking forward. And I'll, in a hiss, I'll tell everyone, come on, move, move.
The Obsidian would go through and she would head towards the science bay, being careful to look around, see what's on the ground in front of her. She's got her scattergun out.
So the science bay door is high tech compared to the other doors you've seen, and they're not low tech, but this one particularly looks like unopenable without a necessary code and things like that. There's like a terminal next to it. It looks extremely heavy and like well protected. You see the same goes for the med bay. The other two are like these big blast doors, but they have like smaller doors inside for a person to walk through if you don't want to open up the whole thing. And like now that you're in here, you can see that weapon bay 1, the door is ajar.
Is everyone through?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll point towards that weapon bay door, making sure that everyone makes note of it. Is it close enough that even in the darkness that even Jackie can see it, Lloyd?
It's probably like 50 or so feet away. Yeah, it's pretty good far.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll whisper, to let her know that it's possible we may have visitors in that area there, possibly. So I think we may want to make sure that room's clear before we do anything else. That's my suggestion.
She like kind of tucks the glow rod inside her jacket and puts one hand on your shoulder. Go.
All right, I'll check to make sure that my scatter gun is loaded, and I'll turn and look at everyone, nod towards the door, and start slowly moving forward.
Towards the weapon bay door or the science door?
Yeah, weapon bay door that's ajar.
Yep, no problem. So you can start creeping across towards it. As you get close, you can hear footsteps, heavy ones inside. You can hear like sort of clip chatter of like reports. Clear.
All right, I'll come up short and with a raised fist hand signal, let everyone know stop. Then I'll turn again and point 2 fingers first towards the door, then 3, then 4. And I'll shake my head. Even though we're on whisper, I don't trust it. And I'll start to back up slowly.
Yeah, Jackie's hand pinches your shoulder, and you hear on the whisper link, we look, we neutralize if needed. Go.
All right, I'll kind of look over my shoulder down towards her. Okay, and I'll give her a wink. And then I'll start moving forward again, slowly.
She can't see your wink in the darkness. What was that, Jeremy?
Torrent kind of says, would you like for me to take a look again? Should we take this entire parade past that door?
If you think you can take a look, please do.
Think I can take a look? I'm already gone. He heads off in that direction.
Okay, do you want to give me a stealth, please?
That is a dirty 20.
Okay, so you sneak in through the door, and it's dark in here. Apart from like a couple of areas that have like this sort of tertiary like red light over them, you can see that this is where the guns are for this ship, and each gun is the size of like a house. They're fucking colossal. And you think like it requires teams to load the munitions in and stuff like that. And there's obviously like various machines that like bring them up from a lower deck up to here and like slide them in and things like that. As you like sneak in and look around, you can see that like maybe 30 feet down from where you are, you can see a guy in armor who has like a torch coming from his helmet, like scanning the area. He's got like a gun up and he's like searching around. And that's what you see as you enter.
But he seems like he's by himself.
I guess, yeah, I mean, he seems that way. I guess Maddox would have heard him talking to others.
Okay.
Although whether that's into a whisper link or to people in the room, it's unclear.
Right. So he'll kind of take note of that, and then he'll slowly retreat back out of the room. Find the group where they're kind of clustered and make his way back over to them. I only see one individual in there. He seems to be occupied. He is armored, however, so he's ready for trouble.
I don't know what our chances are to neutralize a threat like that before he may be able to contact whoever else is on the other end of his radio.
He certainly seemed to be talking to someone, whether they're in the room with him or on a whisper link, I'm not sure. But chances are, if he's wearing armor like that, he's probably going to make quite a bit of noise before he goes down.
Any suggestions, anyone?
For now, someone... Oh, go ahead, Obsidian.
I was just going to say, let's get what we came for and get out.
Agreed.
The only problem is if we go there and then he and perhaps whoever else decides to go there as well, we'll be trapped in there with them on the outside.
All right.
We have a controlled situation now. If we go ahead, perhaps we lose control. It may still be worth it, though, if we can get out unseen.
Well, then we don't all go in. I'll stay out. Keep an eye on that one. Someone else can go in.
It might be better to draw him out here instead of going to him. Make him come explore a bit.
Leave him be. If he comes this way, I'll take care of him.
Fair enough.
You at least, Torrent, should go to the science area. Your particular set of skills might be useful.
Was that a compliment?
As close as you're gonna get.
So at the science bay door, there's this terminal. It will require some tech checks and some hacking to get through.
Roland's not necessarily a hacker, but he is pretty smart, so he'll gladly lend aid to whoever is going to be hacking with the help.
I mean, I do have tech, but if somebody else wants to give it a shot, I'm perfectly cool with that.
It's not my forte.
Okay. So with the help from Roland, will that grant advantage, Lloyd?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Well, that's only an 11.
Okay. So Rowan's like looking at it. He's trying to piece it together. He's maybe seen things like this before, but this is advanced. And you would have like hacked your way through things in the upper crust of society before. This is a whole other level. And you're like trying to get through, and you've got your arc tool, and it's like working towards it. And then there's just like this bleep, 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 as it is an incorrect password. There's a sudden silence from the other room.
Bad noise. Bad noise.
Get ready.
there-
We're gonna have friends here soon.
Yeah, watching the door.
Do I hear any radio chatter or footsteps coming from the other room?
It's gone totally silent. You would have heard footsteps before, but after that noise happens, there's an absolute silence.
Yeah, just in her whispering, she says, "Hold."
Okay, you hold, and there's a sudden, and a man appears on the far side of the room. There's like this yellow flash, and he appears with like a staff in his hand. And as he does so, two others barrel out through the door. You'll see them at the last second. Little Jackie, two men in armor who like rush towards the door. You can take one shot if you so choose, because I know you're waiting for them.
I do so choose.
And everybody else roll initiative, please.
Does this count as going first in initiative?
Initiative hasn't
It's
been
a surprise
rolled.
round.
Not surprised. They know you're there.
Yeah, fine. 15 to hit.
bounce against his armor, and he continues running.
My gun does have a special feature. If you're more than 10 feet away from me, you don't hear it fire.
Okay, so he doesn't hear it fire, and it still bounces against his armor, and he'll continue rushing towards the door. Cool feature for a gun.
Yeah, one of those boosts you can put on, or whatever. Really cool.
Okay, Roland. 23 obsidian. And so there's this flash of yellow, and obviously a Mancer appears in the room as the two others begin barreling towards the door. They're one of them makes it to the door and has his gun raised. The other is right behind him. But Obsidian, your first act.
So Obsidian would actually go straight towards the Mancer. She can move 35 feet this round, and as she's moving, she'd like to aim a scattergun. She's got a small scattergun. She'd aim it straight at the Mancer and take off 2 shots.
Okay, go for it.
So the first one is a 24.
Okay, that'll hit.
The second one is 26.
Oof, yep, those both hit.
Okay. Not so good on the damage. So total between the 2 hits would be 12.
Okay. So 2 sort of grazing shots catch him in the left shoulder, and he turns sort of with the impact, but he continues standing. Jackie. Sorry, was it Mercilessly?
I was just going to say, with the 35 feet, how close am I to him at this point?
We'll still be 15 feet away from him.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Jackie.
So one of the bigger guys has run past and it's glanced off her armor, and her next shot also kind of tings, but her third shot against him hits true. That was a natural 20. So I don't know how we're going to do this.
Double damage.
All right. That is 19.
Oof. Ouch. Yep. So a really powerful hit. It catches him in one of the soft spots of the armor, in the neck, and there's this of blood. Though he quickly grabs something from a pocket and slaps it onto his neck, so he doesn't die immediately, though he's badly wounded. Is that it for you?
Yes.
Okay. Torrent.
So how far away would the Mancer be from where I was working on this this panel?
So he wouldn't quite be 50 from you. He'd be 40 feet from where you are.
Perfect. So I'm going to move just basically to the door frame or whatever was nearby where I was working.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to produce this light pistol from the side of my my hip. And it has an astroscope on it. So I'm actually going to use my bonus action to take aim as these kind of yellow crosshairs kind of slowly draw a bead onto this Mancer, which will give me advantage on my attack against him.
Nice.
All right. So that is a 23.
Yep, that'll hit.
Excellent. Okay. So because I had advantage on the attack, that should qualify for my sneak attack.
Yep.
All right. So that's 9, 10, 11 points of damage.
Say 9?
11.
11. Okay, right. Perfect. Yep. So a shot fires and catches him. And he like turns a little again. He's like stumbling back now, and he like slams his staff into the ground to try and hold his place. Is that it for you, Tarrant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He is going to. You'll see him like bite his tongue, and blood will kind of pour out of his mouth, and he will then begin to channel this like power, and this red power will swirl about him, and he's going to point it in the direction of quite a few of you. So I have Torrent and Roland standing in front of the science bay door, and I assumed also that you were near their obsidian. You moved towards them, right?
Yeah, I was at the science bay door and then just did a beeline towards the answer.
No problem. Okay, he's going to move forward, so he'll actually be standing basically right next to you, Obsidian, and then he's going to like pull this red Astra into a ball and then release it. He's going to fire a plasma beam. I'll need you and the other two guys to make me dexterity saving throws, please.
That's a 14 for me.
Okay. Alrighty. Roll some dice. Okay. All right, so you're going to take 17 damage, Obsidian. The other two are going to take 8. As this like this sudden like wave of this white hot plasma just like burns across. I think you see like all this Astra swirling around him. He doesn't seem concerned about it. His eyes are wild, and that's going to be his turn. Madak.
Okay. Wow. All right. How did his attack seem to affect my comrades there? Were they phased to a great degree, or what do I see?
I think you see that Obsidian is actually kind of probably smoking a little bit from that plasma burn.
She's still on her feet though.
She's still on her feet, but she's definitely not looking very well.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what Madak will do, he'll whip around with his scatter gun, and he'll take a shot at this guy. What kind of you said that he actually there's blood spilling from his mouth, Lloyd?
Yeah, so he did this strange thing at the start of his turn where he like bit his own tongue, and there's like blood coming out of his mouth, like some sort of looks like he just hyped himself up, and he kind of has these wild eyes now as he like ran forward. You probably would know. It's like consistent with like the actions of a siphon, which is a specific kind of like battlemancer.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, all right. I'll take a couple of shots at him. So let's see. See what I can do after that initiative roll. I don't know. So that will be a 16 for the first shot.
Okay.
And a 12 for the second.
Okay, so he's actually going to use Twitch Shield as you like fire. It looks like he's totally focused on the destruction in front of him, though. As you like fire, for him it's in slow motion. He just like raises a hand. This like yellow Astra appears, and the shots will like smash into that yellow.
Oh wow! Okay, all right. Okay.
There's all this Astra swirling around him, and you, Roland, would know that he is really not worried about the amount of Astra that he's channeling, and that's potentially problematic for everybody in the room. He's really going all out. Okay, Grim is going to like run out of the door, and he's going to point his gun directly at you, Jackie, and try and shoot you at close range. Okay, so he gets a 17 on 1. Does that hit?
Yeah, that'll just hit.
Okay. The second one's a 16.
Also hits.
Oof.
My AC is 16.
Okay. So he like runs up and he basically and then fires this scattergun at close range. Oh boy. 20 points of piercing damage.
Yeah, you hear the scream on the whisper link. It is ear piercing.
Yep, I imagine you're almost knocked over by the force, like a shotgun, basically a short range, just and he like obviously says something like "target down" and continues moving past you, and that's going to be his turn. Niall behind him is going to rush out. He's going to like look around and see what the targets are, and he has spent many a year training with a Mancer, and so he spots Roland. Is going to try and shoot him because that's what soldiers do. Geek the mage. Okay. He definitely misses the first one by a wide margin. The second one, though, will be a 20 all up to hit.
Yeah, that hits by a lot.
And there's no Twitch shield coming, I assume.
Nope.
Oh, Jesus. 13 piercing damage. Don't roll a dice all session, and then I can't stop it rolling, but good. So he like has a carbine. He just fires. It'll smash into you, and that'll be the end of his turn. Roland.
Yeah, so like Roland's like locked eyes with this other Mancer. He sees like the Astra energy flowing off of him, and he's like deadlock focused on him, and then suddenly just like poof, takes this bullet from the side, and that kind of like shakes him. He's going to look and like see just the damage that's been done to everybody. He's actually going to, knowing obviously the Mancer strategy, is going to step away from Obsidian and from Torrent, so that he's 25 feet from Torrent in the other direction. Just trying to minimize the splash damage. And he's going to like look around, and he's going to hold one hand out towards. Who's it going to be? Jackie, actually. And there's going to be this like blue glow that like springs up from his hand, and he's going to like hold it out, and this like beam of blue is just going to like fly over, hitting her. There's also a rush that kind of comes off of his hand and around his own body, as he's going to be revitalizing himself and her. We're each going to gain 14 hit points.
Ooh. Very nice.
And then he's going to, as a bonus action, now that that puts him at exactly his fade limit, going to look back at this Mancer. And there's no biting of the tongue, there's no craziness, but he'll just look, and like the blue will kind of all rush up into his eyes as he just turns into like a hyper-focused state. I'm also going to go into my limit enhancer.
Nice.
As there's just like this blue Astra energy aura that just starts emanating from him.
All right, perfect. Back to the top, Obsidian.
So as the guy was closing in on her, she would have dropped her gun on the floor because it's done, and she's pulling out her short sword. And as she's doing that, I'm going to use a bonus action to cause the red Astra to flow around it. I'm going to energize it, and then she's going to try and slice this Mancer that's in front of her.
Okay, go for it.
So the first attack would be a 25.
Yep.
And then she would do another slice as well for another 25.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So damage.
Can you give me the slashing and energy separate?
Sure thing. So the first hit was 12 damage, piercing, and D8. 1 force.
Okay.
And then the second one is 9 piercing and 4 force.
Okay. Okay, he's still standing, though barely. He's like bleeding now heavily from those slices.
Can I blow my action surge to hit him again?
For sure.
Maybe not. That is a big 9.
Okay, you get both attacks when you action surge.
Oh, perfect. That was a 1, so let's
okay. All right, so there's too much Astra flying around this guy, and you get like 2 shots in, but then like it seems he moves with this insane speed and is able to dodge the strikes. Jackie.
So Jackie feels the scatter shot being forced out of her body from this blue Astra that's just snaked across the room, and she turns kind of with a vengeance towards this man who's already written her off as dead. The first hit, and actually they're both a 21 to hit.
Those are both hit.
And it's going to be 9 from the first shot and 5 from the second. And there's just the kind of...
That is exactly enough to end this man.
Yeah.
So you fire. And you find like a weak point in the back of the armor and like hit him right in the spine, and he just like falls down onto his knees. The second shot blasts out the back of his skull, and he hits the ground dead.
Yeah, and you can see this slight bit of yellow Astra around her eye where she'd taken a moment to use it to aim, and just that satisfaction of a kill.
Nice. Torrent.
Torrent, where he had kind of rolled back behind some cover to avoid the worst of this Astra beam that had kind of shot out from this Mancer, now kind of looks around, back, taking stock of the battlefield, and seeing that Jackie's wounds have been, at least for the moment, kind of tended to. He is going to turn his gaze towards Obsidian, and once again he's going to reach inside and pull out a different kind of spheroid. This one he actually kind of backhand rolls down across the ground, that kind of rolls close towards her and then sprouts almost like robotic legs, like a spider, and then just starts like crawling really quickly towards her. And whenever it gets close, it's going to kind of have this small, almost like a needle that sticks out of it, and is actually going to rear back and prick her real fast, injecting this serum into her. I have a certain number of points that I can do, so if you could, Karen, how far down are you?
I'm down by 17.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 10 points of healing.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay, is that it for you, Torrent?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
Well, wait. Never mind. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, no problem. The Mancer is still standing somehow. It thinks Astra swirling all around him. Believes that he is going to a better place very soon, and wants to die gloriously, as he's been brainwashed to believe is the case. And so he is going to...
Don't do it.
Where is it? Oh, yeah, okay. So he pulls some more red Astra out of nowhere, and some of it's like swirling around him, and he throws it into this ball. He's going to fire it at 3 of you. So it's going to be Obsidian, Torrent, and you, Madak. So it's going to be a 16 against you, Madak. A 16 against you, Obsidian. Listen, it wouldn't be a load game if it didn't drop a dice. And a 22 against you, Torrent.
Well, that's a hit for me.
Yeah, me as well.
Also me.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. You'll each take 14
Thanks.
force damage.
Thanks.
You will all become outlined in this red energy, giving the next attacks against you advantage. And then he is going to roll not to explode because he is significantly over his astral limit now.
I asked you not to do that.
It's the best part of Harbinger.
He's just showing off now. That guy.
He sure is. Okay, he's exceeding it by 5. Okay. Ooh, okay. So he like fires off these bolts that and rather than like the Astra and him dissipating and like going into those bolts, more of it gathers around him. And you can see like his eyes are like glowing insanely. And as he like opens his mouth, like Astra is pouring out of it. It's as if it's very cold, and it's like steaming, but it's just this like red Astra. He's totally swathed in it. He gains 2 Astrafade, so he's still alive somehow. That's going to be Agrar's turn. Okay, Madak.
Okay, all right. When I see him, well, yeah. After I kind of shake my head and grimace against the pain of his initial assault against us, or secondary assault, I guess I should say. I still have some more shots left in my scattergun, so I will, just for narrative's sake, aim towards his head and unload 2 more shots. Actually, what I will do, I'll do this. Well, let me ask you, first time playing this, so I've got an ability that allows me to basically enhance the weapon I'm holding, but it doesn't say whether it's melee or ranged.
It's either, I think.
Is it either? That's okay. I wasn't sure. Okay. All right. So I think I will do that. It's the energy weapon ability.
Yeah.
So single weapon, which will be my scatter gun, and I can wreath it in covered in red Astra energy and do some additional force damage. So okay. So anyway, so I'll shoot like I said initially, and the first so that's actually a 20. Yeah, 20 and an 11. So I know the 11 misses, right?
20 hits though.
20 hits. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's going to be 7 piercing, and I think it's 1d8. And oh wow, okay, an actual 7 force.
Okay, that's going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so right in the head. All this Astra swirls all around him, and then this like shot just silences it. And there's like an overripe melon being hit with a hammer. There's just like splat, and he like hits the ground, and instead of like blood pouring from them, there's just red Astra that like smokes up into the air as he hits the ground. And he's very much dead. Is that it for you, Medic?
Yeah, I'll other than slumping towards the ground in disbelief. Yeah, we almost got wiped by these 2 guys.
Okay, Grim is dead. Niall is still around though. He's going to rush out. He's got his carbine. He's going to like sling that over his shoulder and pull out an axe, and he's going to run up to you, Roland, and try and chop you in half. First one will be an 18 all up. The second, it's a crit.
Those will both hit.
Jesus. Where are the weapons? Okay. Okay, it's 5 damage from the crit, which is the luckiest possible number. And it'll be 9 from the normal strike.
So as these axe strikes come, even though they like do come into him and like hit blood, they almost like stop as if like stops by something. It's not sure what, and he's just gonna look. And I imagine this guy knows, given who he's been allies with, what's happened. But this Astra has stopped even more damage, so we'll take half of the total.
Yep. So he like hacks, and those strikes would have killed a normal person, you think, but Limit enhancer really enhances your limits. And he knows that, and his eyes are wide, and he's just like hacking crazily. But that's going to be the end of his turn, and it's your turn, Roland.
All right, so Roland has had enough of this guy. So he's just going to like put his hand on this guy's chest. As a huge, the blue is going to like shift into red. As he does so, and a beam is just going to like fire from his hand right into this guy's body. I'll need a dex save as I use my own plasma beam.
Oh boy. He gets a 4.
That is not quite going to do it. All right, so that's it's going to be 17 force damage.
Ouch.
And
yep, good.
that will put me at 1 over fade. So I don't
Okay.
actually have the charts up right now. If
I
you
got
have it
them.
handy, otherwise I can grab
No.
it.
I have it.
It's a D6 for the first one.
There's somewhere in
Yes.
this book, I'm sure.
It is.
All right. Well, I got a 3 on my D6. Once you get there.
So your reflex is slow. Reduce your armor class by 1 until the start of your next turn.
Yeah. So this like form takes more for him to manage than than he remembers. It's been a while since he's had to use it. And putting out so much force kind of makes him a little sluggish.
Yeah, perfect. I imagine it's kind of like you're underwater and you're like moving slowly through it as the Astra surrounds you. Okay, that was Roland. Obsidian. There's just one guy left. He's standing next to Roland. He's trying to hack him to pieces.
Yeah, so as the guy in front of her kind of just collapses, Obsidian will look around. And how far away is Roland and this guy from her?
You can get there. It's within 30 feet.
Okay, so she will go after him with sword drawn and try to slash him in the back.
Okay, go for it.
Will be 19 for the first hit.
Hit.
And 19 for the second hit.
Yep, 2 hits.
Okay. So it'll be 9 piercing with 6 force, if that still matters, and then 7 piercing with 3 force.
Okay, that's going to kill him.
Sweet.
So the armor would protect him from the sword probably, but the energy on top of it, the Astra, just like slices through the armor like it's butter and cuts through deep, and then you can like stab it through into the chest, and he'll just fall onto his knees and then onto the dirt.
And Jackie is already reloading her weapon and moving to the man she killed. And if he's got a communication device on, she's going to pick it up and listen.
Nothing at the moment.
There's no doubt that they alerted someone, if there's someone close enough by to be alerted.
So you can easily piece together that these were Grimoire people. The Siphon is a like Grimoire discipline, kind of. And that was the ship that was in orbit.
Yeah, they have a whole ship full of friends. I'm sure a Whisperlink could reach no problem.
We better be quick about this then. And with that, she's going to wipe off her sword, put it back, and then go and retrieve her gun.
Yep, you can do so.
All right, Torrent, no more dicking around. Get the damn door open.
While I'm still kind of letting this burst of Astra out with my limited Hancer, I'm going to take the opportunity to cast another bit of healing while I have the free boost.
Yep.
So I'm going to start. So I already get 1 boost for free because I'm a blue spec. So I'm going to use the second boost to basically target somebody else and get an extra dice. I'll start with Torrent actually.
Yeah, you could use it. Thank you.
So we'll each gain 13. And then if anybody looks like they're in having a pretty rough go. I can spare another round.
Obsidian does look pretty hurt.
Do you need to
Alrighty,
roll?
one more round for
Do you roll fade for that?
sorry.
Or no?
Yes. So I'm 2 over right now.
Okay. Yep. So a d6
It's
then.
still pretty light. Yeah. 2.
Okay. The Astra stitches your wounds and mends your broken bones. Regain 1d4 hit points.
Hey, I'm only missing 1, so that'll put me to full no matter what. And I'll use one more spell, so that'll put me 3 over to
Okay.
give a healing to Obsidian and Madak. Ooh, which is going to be another 13. Healing.
Nice. So that's a d8.
So I'm 3 over now. All right, you can get into the fun stuff. 6.
Astra leaves you in a burst. Reduce your current Astra fate by 2, but you're stunned until the start of your next turn. Hey, that's a really nice one.
Hey, I'll take it. Yeah, so I imagine like it's gonna like let off his limit enhancer too. So there's just like this huge like storm of blue Astra that's just like surging into everybody, and then it just like kind of bursts off of him in a cloud. But then he just kind of like falls down to the ground for a second, kind of dazed. But luckily we are not in combat, so being stunned for a turn is not going to do too much.
Yep. So all this Astra begins to like dissipate away, and you'll see like some of it snaking up the corridor back towards that Mancer's choir room.
So Torrance is going to do as he was instructed, and is going to head back to the door and try his best.
Okay, go for it.
I have an arc tool upgrade, but I don't think it'll probably apply here. It allows me to basically force open an object that's locked with mundane means. I imagine this is probably more than mundane.
So I mean, I guess it's literally mundane because it's not magical, but it's like very highly technological. So you could argue that it's effectively magical. You know?
Okay, perfect. So he'll just try the old-fashioned way. Just try to see if he can figure it out and hack his way through. So tech.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I rolled a 20, so that's 27.
Perfect. Amazing. Okay. So you like focus a little bit more, and maybe with like there's no more nerves knowing that there's men over in that other room. You're able to focus and like apply the arc tool, and figure out this code until eventually there's like a bling, and the door will open, and there's this like of air that's fresh and like air conditioned. There's another door beyond. It looks like there's a sort of decompression chamber here, like a clean chamber. Just like walk in here, the door closes, you get cleaned, and then you walk into the science facility.
Open sesame. He's going to step through.
Okay, so you can walk in, and as you do, the door closes behind you, and then there's like this rush of yellow Astra scans you, and then a red, and you can like sense, I guess, or feel that your like weapons or like your gun has been disabled. Your knife is a knife, no matter what. And then there's like a green and then a blue that will like cleanse you. And finally, then the door will open and you can enter into this science chamber. It's a pretty long room. And immediately it's beyond your understanding, the stuff that you're seeing. It's like technology of a scale that's just baffling to look at. There's all these like devices on tables, and there is power in here. It's white and clean. It's obviously got its own generators and things like that, and it's obviously well insulated from the rest of the ship. You can see that there are 2 tanks, and floating in them are creatures. They're nothing you've seen before. In one of them, there's like this strange mollusk-like creature. There's like a shell visible, vaguely humanoid in shape. It's got too many arms and not enough fingers on each hand. And this like, instead of legs, it's like massive tentacles and like a bulbous sort of spongy head. And it's like in this tank, it's about human sized, floating there. And then the other one, there's like this mushroom-shaped and mushroom sort of fungaloid thing resting in there as well. And beyond that, there's like all around these Lorium vials. you think, with information that could be very, very valuable. And at the far end, there's a separate room with like a sort of laser door beyond which you can see resting this red lorium crystal that you had been told to find. It's like much bigger. It's almost the size of like a bottle of wine or something like that. Sort of vaguely sort of diamond shaped, and there is a glow coming from it.
So immediately having seen what is their target, Torrent's going to start looking for other things that would be valuable. Probably these Lorium vials, anything else like that. He's going to start stowing things away as quickly as he can.
Yeah, you can grab a couple of these Lorium vials. Also, on one of the tables, there's what looks like a gun. There's no gun you've seen before. It doesn't have like a barrel. It has, it's kind of hard to explain, like a coil or something like that. Looks like old tech, and that means good tech. And it's hard to you don't know what it would do, but it looks valuable and rare. Opposite to like the pistol you stole at the start of this adventure, this one looks very technologically advanced.
We'll kind of look around and take that and tuck it away.
Yep, you can do so. Tuck it into your robes and like continue looking around and taking some of these Lorium vials. There's all this like equipment and all these tools and things that like microscopes and like various beakers and things that you probably don't know what they're for. You can guess, I guess. And there's lots of like dentist chairs. It looks like they give you this like strange feeling as you like look, and you can see like these various like mechadendrite arms that like are attached to them that obviously would like do some sort of auto surgery. There's a lot going on.
Hey, Lloyd, you mentioned something about a laser door?
Yeah, so inside at the far end, there's like a separate chamber where they keep the red Lorium that you're after.
But are we all stuck outside because the door closed behind him?
No, it'll open if you approach. It's you just have to like go in, get cleansed, and then go into the chamber.
Obsidian would have followed in probably right soon after.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it says there's enough time for Torrent to pocket that fancy gun, and then you can like enter into the science chamber after him.
Yeah, she'd head towards the other door where the red Lorium is behind.
Yeah, so it's I imagine the rest of you are following as well, making your way into the science chamber, and you can like look around all this crazy stuff, documents and things like that, and you can see this laser door. It's literally like a wall of laser, and there's a another sort of like data pad there with 4 colored buttons: red, green, blue, yellow. Obviously, there's a code to enter in there.
So she would stop before it and look down and notice that like there's no way she's walking through that on her own. So she would call back to Torrent and ask him for assistance.
Oh, yes, I was just looking to see if by chance that briefcase was around. Let's take a look, shall we? What do we have? He'll kind of walk over to join where she's standing. He's going to pick up something, just something off the desk nearby, and just kind of casually toss it into the laser door.
Vaporize.
Yeah, we should definitely deal with that before we pass through there. He'll move over to the keypad and start trying to get to work while the rest of the people are kind of coming in the room.
Yeah, so it's like looks like you put your hand in it, and there's these 4 different colored buttons, the colors of the Astra.
As he kind of starts looking at that, he's actually going to kind of withdraw his hand, and he's going to say, "Actually, Roland, would you come have a look-see, please?"
Yeah, he'll kind of like eye the laser door and then like up where the security system had scanned them, and then like at the console and it's clear that he's pretty displeased with this request, but he'll approach anyways. Yeah, what is it?
This device is not exactly the kind of security measure that I usually come across. It looks like it might be your field of expertise.
At least maybe we can sort it out between the two of us. I'll kind of start like leaning in next to Torrent to like look at this thing. Even potentially like placing his hand on it to see if it reacts.
Yeah, so it'll you feel like a yellow Astra scan your hand, and then there's like a bleep, like a you are not authorized.
Yeah, with that he'll kind of just give a side-eye glance towards Torrent and like shrug.
No, can't be just a coincidence that these little color pads just happen to meet the same color as the Astra that you use. Right? There's got to be something to do with that.
So just to kind of see what happens, Roland is going to it costs 0 fate. Use Torchlight, which is a green Astra spell, and like see like if as the light comes out and the Astra kind of comes from his hand, if the system reacts at all to it.
Yeah, it does. The green gem will like light, but then there's like a bleep, like that's incorrect.
Seems that your hunch might have been correct, but it's still password locked in some sense. I can touch into some of the other colors too, but it will take a lot more out of me to do so. I'd like to be certain that whatever we're inputting will get us some results before we go too crazy.
I can attempt to bypass it, but if I had to guess, there's probably some nasty surprises that are tied to this one. If we can find a legitimate way through, that might be best.
Perhaps, yet playing around with Astra is just as dangerous as playing around with security. I think trial and error is probably a bad idea.
Fair enough. However, that is what we came for. I'm going to start looking around. This laser, does it seem like it's Astra produced somehow?
Yeah, you reckon it's powered by Astra for sure. Like most things are. So there must be like some sort of generator somewhere attached to this like science chamber that's like still active when most of the other ones aren't.
Okay, so he's going to start looking around for anything that looks like it could be a power source or like cables that connect. And he's actually going to ask the rest of the group if they could start looking around the room for anything that might shield against Astra. Anything that might be reflective or absorbing of Astra power.
So while this is happening, I don't know if this will work or not, but I'm gonna try it because I know Roland would try it. Roland's gonna like walk up to the laser door, and kind of like look through, seeing the gem on the other side. And there's gonna be like this flash of yellow, and I'm gonna just attempt to void slip into that room.
It works.
Which will put me back over my fade 2.
Okay, so that's a D8, I think, as well.
I think 2 over is still a D6.
Oh, you went down, right? Yeah, so yeah, that's a D6.
Yeah, I lost a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 6.
Okay, you take a D8 force damage as the rigors of the Astra take their toll.
Ouch. I will go ahead and... Oh, that's only one. Yeah, so it only has a brief second because I'm going to use the boost where, like, at the end of my quote-unquote turn, it brings me back. So once I'm in the room, I'm just going to, like, grab onto this crystal and hope it comes back with me.
It absolutely does. And you're, like, out. Back in the room, you're holding this enormous, like, crystal, this diamond, and you can feel, like, power from it. And there's this like swirling sort of red astra inside. There's obviously something powerful information-wise in there.
So as he like heads back in the room, there's going to be this like smoke of red astra that comes off of his body as he's holding the crystal, and he's just going to like look at Torrent and shrug.
Yeah, Torrent's like halfway through, like basically unscrewing like a part on this panel. He just kind of stares at you. Oh, good show. Well done.
We should probably get going.
I agree.
Outside in the main chamber, you're communicating with Gil. What are you saying, Jackie?
I've put everybody back on yellow clearance. So they can't fly the ship without me.
Acknowledged.
And I'm scanning for life signs and getting information on if the Grimoire ship has moved any.
Yes. So Gil would say, 2 shuttles launched from Grimoire ship. Scanning. 3 life signs additional to your own.
All right, lady and gents, time to move. We have company here and incoming.
Okay, so you can make your way back through the door, the sort of which scans you with yellow astra, and then and so on. Basically scans you, disables your weapons, cleanses you, and then protects you from whatever's on the inside. It goes through that order, and then you're back out into that main chamber where you can see Jackie awaiting.
So coming back out, it did reactivate our weapons?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. That's all I wanted to double check.
Gil says there's 2 shuttles launched, and I think 3 more life signs here. So if we're going to find this briefcase, we better do it quick. And are you just going to carry that thing around? Damn, it's big.
Yeah, I think I'll hold on to it.
All right, well, don't drop it.
You know, as much as it would be nice to find the briefcase, I'm getting the sensation that we may not have a lot of time.
We better just get going.
Yeah, we get paid for just this thing, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Let's go.
Okay.
See if we can make it back to Gil.
So you make your way back to that bulkhead door and like climb under it and make your way back towards the bridge. And in the bridge there are 4 people. They're all dressed in black and they all have masks on. And as you like enter the room, one of them. Excellent. Excellent. Wonderful. So one of them is small and sort of wiry. And he's standing at the front. There are 2 big individuals in heavy armor standing behind him, and then a third behind them. And he says, Sept is ultimately grateful for the hard work that you have done here today. We'll be taking the crystal and we'll give you your lives in return.
If at all possible, Torrent would like to slip away from view.
You can certainly try.
While he's doing that, Obsidian would actually step in front of Roland.
Yes. Very noble, very fancy. I understand what's happening here. You believe that you have a chance of escaping with Crystal. Of course, yes. You think you're going to get a reward. That's not the case. There are several Sept Grimoire ships inbound. And even if you could defeat us, which you can't, and by the time that you do, they'll be here. We have a deal with them. We'll hand over the crystal immediately.
You have a deal with Grimar.
That's what I said, yes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hand over the crystal. We'll let you go.
No.
The two guys in the armor just point guns. They are large.
I point a gun at the crystal.
I start to clap my hands slowly now, smiling.
The guy folds his arms. And you'll destroy that crystal, will you?
We have no guarantee that you'll let us walk out of here anyway, regardless of what we do.
I'm a servant of Sept Alzarine, and our word is our
I don't
bond.
give a fuck. We have it. We got it. We're leaving with it.
Now, that won't be happening.
Well, then you're not going to get it either.
He looks around, all of you, and says, "It doesn't have to be all of you that make it out. It only takes one of you to give us the crystal. We'll take good care of you. We'll put you in the employ of Sept Alzarine. We'll pay you 1 million credits. We'll set you up with a new identity. You'll be sorted. It just takes one of you."
And Lloyd, this is the same Sept that same house that we encountered with the other agents before.
No, so there's 3 Septs involved. You were hired by Sept Roldo.
Right.
The guys you encountered were Sept Grimar, who have the ship in orbit, and these guys are Sept Alzarine, who are to be the dominant Sept, who rule the place.
Then I can whisper to Jackie. She made note to, I think, take one of their communicators off of their bodies. So what kind of situation will we have here if we alerted them to our location as well?
Your Sept Roldo, is that what you mean? Or Grimar?
The Grimar.
Grimar.
So you imagine that they would arrive in force. They're already on the way, it seems, but that they would arrive where you are in force.
May have to come to that.
So the 2 guys with the guns, they have them pointed squarely at your head, Jackie, and you think that one of these guns is enough. And the man says, "Let's not be stupid here. Let's just think about things. Everyone wants the crystal. That's clear. Not everyone can have the crystal. That's also clear. One of you, 2 of you, 3 of you, any of you who aren't this woman, who clearly is insane, can come and join us. And we'll pay you whatever Roldo was going to pay you. We'll pay you more even."
Roldo was going to pay us 5 million glint apiece. You really going to up that?
Yeah, don't be ridiculous. You don't think I know the terms of your contract? Please. Who do you think you're dealing with? And you hear in the communicator, Jackie, "Darling, I'm inbound. Evac. 5 minutes."
Did all of us hear that, or just Jackie?
Just Jackie.
Okay. Torrent is actually going to, over the whisper link, tell, damn it, Maddock. Maddock, grab a hold of Jackie, would you? He's going to attempt something. I have no idea if this is going to work. He is going to use his Astra adapted spell that he has for being a Voidborn. He's going to kind of pull this kind of yellow Astra just out of the air, and kind of condense it down around him. And he's actually going to cast Grav Shift directly onto the red crystal.
Okay.
All right. I'll swiftly step over to Jackie, and I'll actually, if I can, Actually, instead of I was going to draw my weapon, but I think a knife would be quicker. I'll pull it and I'll put it towards her, where they can visibly see it. And I'll say, tell us a little bit more about what kind of deal we can make with you.
So Roland is going to cast a spell real quick. That spell, I'm going to cast it only on myself. And it's going to be Masahiro's Refuge. So he's just gonna with this crystal but basically just wrapped in his arms. There's just gonna be this glow of green, and then a sphere of green astro is going to come around him and encircle him completely. And I'm gonna use a boost here. That'll give me a short rest, and also it's gonna be 30 minutes long.
So say all this happens at once. The grav shift happens, and the crystal flies out of your grip and starts to float upwards. But by the time it's just maybe 3 or 4 feet on top of you, this green shell of Astra comes and just holds you in place as if you've been placed or frozen by ice, all at the same time.
Okay.
And from within this sphere, I'll just yell, "Whoever keeps me alive gets the crystal with me."
The Alzarine gentleman steps forward and says, "All right, listen. This is going to get out of hand very quickly, and nobody wants to die here. Let's think about what we're doing. What were Sept paying you? $1 million. Something like that. They can't afford more. And that would bankrupt them."
That is going to put me a lot over my fate, by the way, before we get too crazy.
Go ahead and roll it.
That's an expensive one.
By the way.
It's going to be, I'm going to be 5 over.
Okay, it's a D10.
That's a 10.
Okay, you lose control of the Astra flowing through you. You gain 2 Astra Fade. You don't roll again.
All right. Theoretically, I won't need it.
So he says, "This is what we'll do. If you bring me the crystal, guarantee your lives. We'll pay you 1.2 million if you come and do the thing. No one needs to die here. It's simply not necessary." And then there's this as Big Jack lands in his dragoon armor, and superhero lands bam in the center of the bridge. And there's this sonic impact as he stands up. He has this ridiculous gun that looks like you'd have to hold it in 3 hands, and he's got it in 1. And in the other hand, he has this ridiculous axe. He stands up, looks around at the state of the place. One of the Alzarine guys turns and points his gun at him. Jack points the gun at him, and there's this ridiculous. Everybody's got guns pointed at everybody, and nobody's moving.
We should be moving.
Darling, get over here.
I'll shake Maddock off me and slowly walk towards Big Jack.
I keep one hand on her arm, whoa, whoa, whoa. Come on. It's like that now?
You're with me or you're against me, Maddock. There's never any in between.
I look at the other members of the group and look back at Big Jack and shrug and go, "Hey, I know when my hand don't look so good, so I'm with you."
He the faceplate of his helmet will open, and this cloud of cigar smoke will come out of it, and he'll spit it onto the ground. "Come on over." And you see the Alzarine guy who's got the gun. He's kind of trained at Jackie, and he's just following. But he doesn't want to shoot, and he doesn't know what to do. So he's following you as you walk.
Yeah, she's got her own gun, and now it's pointed back at this guy who's aiming at her. And as she's going, she'll whisper to the other guys on the whisper link, like, "Get to the ship if you can."
Yeah, Torrent is actually kind of steadily creeping that direction.
There's
Where's
a
the
sound.
crystal?
Go ahead.
So where is the crystal right now at this moment?
So it's in the green astrosphere that Roland has conjured. So if you imagine, like, he's basically frozen in ice, except it's like green astra, and inside of it, like maybe floating 3 feet above him, is the crystal, like inside of this like sphere of protective energy. And as you guys are starting to like move towards the ship, there's a sound of approaching ships, and there's this, and then like as like a ship touches down, and then the like approaching soldiers, and 10 Sept Grimoire soldiers like pop their heads over the side of the bridge with like guns pointed, and then they like pop back down and like pop back up, like confused by the situation. There's so many people in here, everyone's pointing guns at everybody, and they don't know what the answer is. Like they pop their heads back over and like point guns at everybody, and one of them calls out, "That's enough! Hand over the crystal, nobody has to die."
Jackie is about to say something really sassy, but she looks at Big Jack and thinks better of it.
He just lets out this chuckle.
Roland's gonna like sit cross-legged in the air, as if like sitting on a counter, and just kind of like look, like just grab the crystal and just like hug it next to him. Say, like I said, whoever can get me away from everybody else gets the crystal. Until then, I'm not coming out.
How far can you do your void slip there?
20, 30 feet, maybe, on a good day.
If I can get to the ship, I'll fly over you. I'll try to make it close enough that you can make the jump.
Deal.
Lloyd, how far away am I from the ship at this point?
So you probably have to. You're as you like. Oh, you would have been moving, right? And that's what happened. You're probably, the ship is probably 20 feet outside of the lip of the bridge, and you're probably been moving pretty steadily. You're probably like another 30 from the lip of the bridge. Now there are like 10 Grimoire dudes at the lip of the bridge with like guns pointed inwards, and like at least 2 of them have a gun pointed on you. You can see they have like high-tech helmets and stuff. They're obviously like detecting all sorts of stuff. But most of them have them pointed at Big Jack, who's obviously the biggest threat in the room. And that's the case. Most people have the gun pointed at Big Jack basically all the time.
Obsidian would be taking Torrent's lead on this one too, and try to edge away towards the ship.
It's the point where like the edging towards the ship becomes a problem, and the Grimoire guys, like one of them bellows something, and the rest of them like stand and like point. That's far enough. Nobody fucking move. Nobody's getting out of this chamber unless we have the crystal.
I think I've probably reached Big Jack about now.
Yep.
Lloyd, this is a bridge, or was at one point. Do I think that this tech might have had any kind of shielding for, like, if the glass was broken while in space?
Sure. Yep, you would imagine so.
And you said most of these other guys are just outside what was the window?
Yeah, so the Alzarine guys and Big Jack are inside the bridge, but there are like 10 and like more approaching Grimoire warriors like on the outside of the ship. They're kind of using the lip of the bridge as cover.
Okay. And our ship is inside here with us?
Just barely, yes.
Just barely. that would also trap us inside. Damn.
You can see the camera zooms in on a couple of people's eyes as they like stare, and there's like sweat dripping down people's brows, and everybody's like losing it.
So we're able to communicate with Roland, even though he's sequestered inside of that egg.
So I can still move and act inside of it. Yeah.
Oh, you can. Oh, okay. I thought you were actually like
nothing
frozen.
Can come
like
in.
Okay, I thought you were like in amber or something. Okay. How much longer can you maintain? Do you know?
30 minutes. I got plenty of time.
Okay. Well, let's see what Daddy Jack has to say and what his big plan is and getting out of here. That's what I want to hear.
Big Jack will like thunk his axe into the floor, and he'll like reach into this like open little hatch and pull out another fat cigar and put it in his mouth, and then light it, chew on it a little bit. This would not be the first time that I would be the only one to leave such a standoff. Like cracks his neck. You in the sphere. You owe me a ridiculous amount of money. I should kill you. What I can do instead, you bring me that crystal, I'll let you live, cancel your debt, and you'll pay me only half of what you make from this job.
You clear me a path, I'm all yours.
Hoorah! And he's going to lift his gun and shoot one of the Alzarine guys, and we'll roll initiative.
Torn is off as fast as he can.
Okay.
I get advantage on initiative, and I rolled a 1 and a 3.
Oof, not ideal.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing too. 14 for me.
Okay.
And I have advantage too, so there you go.
Five, huh? That is rough.
Yeah, it's not great. Being at the bottom is fine if you're having to heal everybody, but when you're the shooter, it's not so good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is there? 5. Okay. So, Big Jack points his massive gun and just fires it, and there's like it seems to shoot a rocket. It looks like that just like smashes into one of the Alzarine guys and is going to like knock him back and onto the ground. And then Obsidian, it's your turn. As you can see, everybody, just like every trigger finger, just begin to squeeze.
So Obsidian is actually going to make a beeline straight for the ship, kind of ducking and dodging out of the other people's way. She's not interested in the fight. She's going to the safety of the ship.
Okay. Yep. Are you going to use the dodge action? Is that your plan? Just run and dodge?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So you begin running like down the steps of this like strange amphitheater bridge under the shadow of that enormous carving of the sea god as you run towards the ship. Jocasta is one of the Alzarine people. She I wonder, is there a way to cancel your... There's no dispel, right? Not really.
No, and magic actually cannot pass through the refuge
Okay.
at all. So I can't be... I basically have
That is a
full
nice little
cover and
spell.
can't be magicked.
Yep. Okay, so she would know that, even if I don't. And so she... Let's see, what would you do if you were in this situation? She is going to mutter some words and like pull this like Astra and basically put on this suit of Astra armor. And that's what she's going to do for her turn. She's then going to move and try and find some cover behind one of the skeletons of a dead crew member. Big Jack is going to pick up his axe. He's going to rush forwards towards the Alzarine guys, and he's going to unleash what can I be described as a murder. Okay, so he rushes forward towards one of the guys in the armor, and he just like grabs him with one hand and like smashes his head, his helmeted head, into the helmeted head of the other guy, and the other guy's helmet just like buckles and cracks inwards, and there's like a blubble, and he hits the ground. He then like points the gun backwards towards the Grimmar guys and fires once. That's going to be Jack's turn. Roland.
So I rolled initiative more out of like mechanics more than anything. My plan is just to sit in the sphere until enough people are dead that a winner has been decided.
Okay. Septus. Okay, so Septus is the guy who just got his head crashed. Ophon is the smaller man. He is going to let's see. I don't know what anyone would do in this situation beyond run, because it's just like insanity. He's not going to go near Big Jack because that's a crazy thing to do. He's going to rush in the same direction that you are going, Obsidian, and try and follow you. Basically, he's going to dodge and follow. Madak.
Okay, so I know that Big Jack's probably going to be the center of the firefight, and I'm guessing Jackie is right next to him. So what I'll do is if I see, can I notice what Ophon's doing?
Yeah, you would see him like sneaking and like trying to avoid being shot.
All right, well, I'll ruin his chances of that and put 2 blasts right in his back. I'll try to do that and see if he maybe changes his mind about following. So that's a 12 and a 22.
2 hits.
2 hits? Oh, wow. Okay.
No, sorry, 22 hits. 12 doesn't.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, that's a horrible roll. So that's 8 points. Piercing.
Hey. Yep, so a shot in the back.
Yep.
He'll stumble and like fall to one knee.
Okay.
And that'll be it for now.
Okay.
Cassius is the other armored one who had been like knocked by the shot. He's going to stand and like look around. He doesn't see Ophon in the chaos, who's the boss, and so he's just going to try and protect himself as best he can. He sees Big Jack. He's going to try and shoot him as often as he can. So 2 shots from the scatter gun, one of which will just barely pierce Jack's armor. And that will be it for Cassius. Torrent.
Torrent, as soon as the first shot was fired, he just begins sprinting as fast as he can towards the ship. He's going to take a dash action.
Okay. Okay. Yep. So you can run. You'll actually make it all the way to the ship if you dash. So you can get to like the ramp of the ship, whereupon an automated defense turret will like point in your direction.
Would I have been able to know that was what level, or the level of protection that indicated was yellow?
Yeah, and that's what happened last time. Yep.
Okay. He's going to start yelling basically into the whisper link. Jackie, you really could set the defenses down. That would be nice, so that I can actually fly the ship. Jackie? Not a time to be coy, dear.
If you fucking leave without me, I will never let you forget it.
Well, that's not the plan, but I can't go anywhere if I can't fly the ship.
Clearance green for Torrent.
Knowledge.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the turret will like kind of like away from you, and you can enter the ship. Okay, turret. Jackie.
So Jackie has her big carbine out, and she fires back at these Grimoire guys, but with their cover, the shots just kind of ping off the edge of the bridge.
Yep. So you're just like firing, and some of them like put their heads down to try and avoid like a sort of suppressive fire. But many of them are still firing, and many of them will do so now. I will need a dex save from Jackie, from Madak, and from Obsidian. You can make yours with advantage, Obsidian, because you're dodging.
15.
Okay.
You said dex check?
Yeah, a save.
Dex save? 23.
Nice. What'd you get, Jackie?
I fail.
Okay, so you'll take 7 damage, Jackie, and the other 2 will take 3. As just like shots are fired, this like massive group of them just like firing into just blindly into the bridge, hoping that if they just fire enough shots, at the end they'll get the crystal. We're back to the top. Obsidian.
So Obsidian's going to continue the run. Can she get there this time?
Yep, easily. Yep.
Yeah, she would head straight towards there and would be trying to get towards like the gun station.
So once again, the automated turret is going to like point towards you and discourage you from entering the ship.
She'd be yelling, "Damn it, Jackie! We're in this together!"
Clearance green, Gil. Clearance green.
Acknowledged. So you can run into the ship, and you can make your way towards one of the bigger guns there.
Yeah.
And it's not like a huge. Let's see. But yeah, you can make your way there, and that will be the end of your turn, I reckon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah. So you can get like jump into one of these chairs and like pull down the visor and like begin to like move the gun and point it towards probably the Grimoire boys. That was Obsidian. Okay, Jocasta is now armored up, and she is going to start moving back into the ship. So like past you, Roland, and like back into the door that leads like into the ship itself, thinking it's safer than going out of the ship. So she's going to move that way. It's going to be her turn. Big Jack is going to continue his rampage. Okay, so he's going to grab Cassius and hack an arm off of him and then kick his body to the ground, and that'll be Jack's turn. Roland, still just chilling?
Yeah, I imagine there's just this constant spray of just like bullets and everything just smashing into this like green shield. And he's like trying to look like composed and like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine, but like there's kind of that like worried frown on his face, and he's just gonna like look at Big Jack just like literally hacking people to pieces and just kind of like, okay, this is the good move. I don't just kind of assure himself, and then continue to stay well hidden.
Ophon is going to basically hit the deck. He's going to like try and crawl under one of the chairs for cover, and that's going to be his turn. He's going to take the dodge action, and Madak, it's your turn.
Okay, so if Ophon is more concerned with getting the cover, then I guess I will slide to a stop and turn to see what Jackie's up to. And maybe if, I don't know, in the chaos I see, you know, maybe one of the Grimoire troops still shooting, if within range, I'll take a shot. I can do that.
Yep, for sure. You can shoot at them.
I can thin their ranks a little bit, maybe. So what did I get? 18. Does that hit?
That'll hit.
10 points.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
Yep. So if shot fires, catches one of them in the eye plate, and one of them like falls and stumbles backwards down the ramp of the ship. Okay. Cassius is out. Torrent, you've made it onto the ship.
He is headed straight for the bridge. Straight for the cockpit.
Yep, you can easily make it to the bridge.
And he kind of like jumps into the seat and immediately just starts doing his thing to try to get this thing activated. And if at all possible, he wants to leave the ramp down.
Yep, you can do so. And there'll be like a sort of as it begins to like take off and it floats a couple of feet above the ship. You can see like the of the engine like beginning to like burn and like clean basically the outside of the ship of the dust and the grime that settled there. And that is that it you want to do?
He's going to start maneuvering it back around towards where Roland is inside this Astra bubble, and he's going to call over the Whisperlink. It's time to leave, ladies and gentlemen. Your ride has arrived. Please board the shuttle so that we can leave promptly.
Okay, no problem. Jackie.
And Jackie is still laying down some cover fire at these Grimoire troops to keep them from hitting everyone else who isn't aboard the ship. A crit and a 19 to hit.
Oh yeah,
And
2 hits.
10 damage and 9 damage respectively.
Okay. Yep, you're starting to thin out the ranks with the shots that will like bounce and like ricochet around, and a couple of them will like do some Wilhelm screams and hit the deck. And that will be Jackie's turn. The Grimoire troops, there's still enough of them to do a volley, so they'll require everyone who's not on the ship or in invincible bubble to make me a deck save.
Natural 1.
Okay, you'll take 6, Madak, as a bullet like crushes into your arm, or grazes over it, I should say. And Jack is hit also. Okay, Obsidian.
Obsidian's going to use that gun, and if she can take aim at the Grimoire troops, that's where she's going to aim at this point.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Go ahead and just roll an attack and add your dex and proficiency.
18.
That'll hit. Roll me 2d12. Pull it out of the air. It seems like a spaceship gun.
Oh, that was a 12 and an 11.
Oof,
So
okay.
nice.
Yep. So, like the ship starts to take off, and you like one of these big pulsars just like turns and then there's just and they're flung up into the air and away. And it seems like most of the Grimoire troops have been dealt with as like bodies tumble downwards towards the chasm. Okay. Jocasta has legged into the ship. She is seemingly gone. Big Jack like turns around to see who's left for killing and doesn't see anyone who's not like immediately an enemy. He like turns around and like looks at you, Madak, and then at you, Jackie, and like sees that there are people in the ship. Opens the thing, like releases a big bunch of smoke and says, "Shall we?"
What's he insinuating?
Let's go.
So did Jocasta get into our ship?
No, into the big ship that you guys were in earlier. So she's gone down the corridor with like the Mancer choir and stuff like that. She went in there to hide.
Oh, okay.
Rookie.
Beyond that, like Jack doesn't see any enemies, and so he doesn't know who to kill. And so he just like turns to look at the orb and like walks over to it and like takes his enormous like mailed robot fist and just like begins like hammering at it. Let's go, boy.
Yeah, Roland will like do another quick look around to make sure that the carnage has stopped. And like keeping the crystal like hugged literally like so that the top of it is like at his chin. So you have to like literally shoot him in the forehead to like kill him without hitting the crystal. It's gonna like keep that held there. And be ready to answer at a moment's notice. But he will just kind of nod to Big Jack and the force field will fall away.
So he stands about 8 feet tall in his ridiculous armor, and like looks down, and like chews the end of his cigar, and like blows this like thick cloud of smoke into your face. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
So he stands and waits for you to walk towards the ship, and then we'll follow each step like twice the length of yours. He'll like look at you, Madak, and expect you to follow also.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so you're approaching the ship. Any last minute fuckery?
Nah.
I'll have another Masahiro's refuge ready just in case.
Yeah, Jackie will look back at Roland and kind of meet his eyes, and then look up at Big Jack and go, "You know, that one actually saved my life earlier."
Yeah, I'm letting him pay half.
It's very generous of you, sir.
Get on the fucking ship.
She just kind of looks at you. It's like, I tried.
Yeah, once everybody's on board, Torrent's going to turn this thing around and punch it.
Okay, so you take off into space. There are like some Grimmar shuttles that will chase you, but your ship is a little bit nicer, and you're able to like outpace them, and eventually you'll fly back through that thing, that bleeding eye, that anomaly. You'll have a similar experience on the way back through this like insane sense that there are things all around you. You can like see part of the eye like move as if it's like looking right at you, and like a tentacle flails, but you manage to get through the other side and shake off that feeling. Inside, Jack will like sit, although he's not able to because he's too big, like on one of the chairs, which will kind of like buckle under his weight, and he'll put like each elbow onto the table with like a sound that almost crushes it, and like interlock his fingers, and look at you, Roland. The crystal. Are you muted, Jeff?
And once I give this to you, we're good, right?
Give me the crystal.
You may as well just give it to him. You got nowhere to run now.
Just kind of like look around and realize that the best he could do is delay, but this is a very long drive home, so he can't delay quite that long. So we'll just kind of begrudgingly like slide the crystal off from where he's still like hugging it near his face. Slide it slowly across the table to him.
He'll like take it and place it next to him, and then place his enormous gun onto the table. He'll like look around at those of you who are not flying, at you, Madak, and say, "What was the payday?"
1.5.
Hmm.
In and out.
There's a little twitch at the corner of Jackie's mouth.
And where are you getting it, Roldo?
I'm sorry, what was that, Lloyd?
Where are you getting it?
When we go back to the Golden Eel. Yep, to the Golden Eel.
And if less of you make it back, does that money get shared around?
No, it doesn't, actually. It's per person.
He nods once and then looks around to make sure that's true.
I made sure of it.
Ostensibly, no.
Well, all right then. He like sits back a little bit, and the chair like bends backwards. Well, we're going to go and claim that money and give him the crystal. I'll see what else we can do. I'll be taking your pay. He points to you, Roland. You owe me a great deal of money.
You said I would pay half.
He like looks behind him, like as if you're talking to somebody else, like, and then like looks back at you.
Big Jack, why don't you go easy on the kid? I'm sure you could use him in the future for something.
It's good that he learns a lesson. He's owed me a lot of money for a long time. He's avoided me for a very long time. It makes me angry.
I told you I'd get the money, and now I'm getting the money.
And I had to literally come here and take it from you.
I mean, they might have given it to us too. I mean, they would have had to kill all you guys and leave me alive, but it could have worked out that way.
All right, then. He stands and picks up the crystal and is going to walk into one of the quarters and just close the door behind him and wait for you guys to arrive where you're going.
Fuck, Roland.
What?
Can't say that stuff.
If he wanted me dead, he would have killed me a long time ago.
No, you've just been too big a hassle to track down, believe me.
If he wanted me dead, he would have killed me right now. The way it stands.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Torrent kind of comes in from just outside the room where he was kind of eavesdropping, as the ship's probably on autopilot at this point. And he kind of comes over and says, well, Roland has always been very good at stirring up the nest. He likes to provoke people. Isn't that right, Roland?
I have a way of getting things done. Isn't that right, Torrent?
Yes. You have your uses. Well, he kind of leans back and puts his feet up on the table, and it's kind of rickety from where Big Jack had partially destroyed it. Well, it's nothing quite like a job well done. Not that that was a job well done, but it's a job done nonetheless.
Well, what I'm wondering is, how did Jack know when to show up when he did?
I have the strangest feeling, and he kind of leans and looks towards Jackie. Maybe he wasn't out of the loop.
I mean, she is his daughter, or something like that. Is that really surprising that she would do something like that?
I guess not. I probably would have done the same thing.
I assuredly would have done the same thing.
Jackie just kind of winks at you. But she'd go in and talk to Big Jack later. And goes, Pop, how did you know when to come?
I wasn't far behind you.
You didn't trust us?
It's nothing personal. It's a big job.
Thanks.
Good thing I was here.
Yeah, well, one of these days I won't need you to rescue me, maybe, hey?
We can but hope.
Gotta make sure those miscreants aren't destroying my ship. I'll let you know when we get close.
Was he telling the truth? There's really no extra money if less of you make it back?
Well, they said no. But Roldo's word doesn't always mean what you think it means. You know, Alzarine's all big on honor.
He chews on the cigar and nods. So a couple of days will go by in space. This long, now awkward journey back. There's like this tension that like sits in the air, knowing that this like thing is living in one of the rooms. And you can arrive back towards the hell's the place called? The little moon, and back to the Golden Eel. You can land there. Jack will hand the crystal to you, Jackie, and wait on the ship.
Yeah, it's kind of well wrapped up. As best you can wrap up a glowing red wine bottle-sized crystal as they enter in.
The same situation as last time. Those two guards will like do the usual scan and whatever, and will bring you into the room with the gentleman. You have it?
Unwrap it and set it on the table. And the glint?
Where's the briefcase?
Couldn't find it. Half the ship was in a crater. Chasm, really.
You get half the stuff, you get half the pay.
Wasn't the deal.
Yes, if I recall correctly, it was an optional part of the job.
He looks between you and sees that you all remember that very clearly. Oh, you're right. My mistake. All right. He'll like take the crystal and like move it to his side of the table, and then he'll like bring out a little data pad, and like he'll insert like a USB key basically, and like type a thing in, and like pull it out and hand one to each of you. There's a million glint on each one.
Roland's gonna check it right now, just to make sure.
Oh, yeah, it's legit.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Presumably we all have like the ability to read it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Torrent's actually going to start immediately encrypting like parts of it, so that way it can't be taken back out.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Pleasure doing business with you. He like picks up the crystal and like moves over to a desk and just like immediately puts in a finger to an ear and like says something inaudibly.
It's my turn to leave. I'm not waiting to see what the other half of this conversation is.
Yeah, I'm making my exit as well.
As do I.
So you go back downstairs to the bar. The barman provides you each with a delicious and extremely expensive drink to celebrate your success. And you can sit around that same booth and drink to a successful last job. Free now of Sept responsibilities, free now of any debt you might have had, and many of you now quite rich. If any of the last things you'd like to cover, go ahead, do so.
Torrent is going to get a message from somebody unnamed, but he would know that it was Roland, asking for his percentage of his earnings as usual per their deal. Or else things might get out.
It's a split screen view as you see Maddock get a similar message asking for like percentage as well. A slightly lower one, but not insignificant.
Maddox's also going to forward a certain amount of cash towards outfitting another group in order to make another foray to that location to see what else is in there.
Perfect. So we'll fade out then with like, oh, go ahead, Torrent. Yeah, we'll fade out with some dingy music playing, and maybe a clink of glasses to a successful last job. Thanks very much, guys. It's really fun. I really think that the fiasco thing adds just a whole lot. It's very effective, I think.
It did.
Yeah, it was great.
It's kind of a chaos because at the end I'm like, it's fine to set up like a Mexican standoff, but then how do you resolve them mechanically? You know, it's like I don't know what the hell
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do there.
I figured that was it. Done deal.
I like
Get
that.
really messy.
I liked that your Grimoire troops were basically doing area attacks, where it was a deck save.
It were just goons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to end the broadcast because this is post-broadcast. So thanks for watching if you did.